Part 51. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 504. What did you say? Li Hao frowned, with a hint of confusion on his face, as if he didn't know anything, and said in a deep voice. Li Hao naturally knew what the other party was talking about, and it was nothing more than the strange movement of these monster statues. In fact, the scene just now was really caused by him. I don't know what happened just now, but when Li Hao saw the runes carved by the other party, the demon god in his body started to move involuntarily, and then seemed to attract these statues, and the scene just happened. This is something Li Hao himself never thought of. Li Hao's confused look fell into the old man's eyes, but his brows wrinkled again, and some doubts arose in his heart. Isn't it him? Is it because of yourself? What are you doing here? This one wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and then asked Li Hao in a deep voice. Hello boss, do you sell talisman paper here? I want to buy some talisman paper from you. Li Hao said directly. When the old man heard Li Hao's words, his eyes narrowed slightly. It turned out that he came to buy talismans from him. Why did you buy the talisman? The old man asked Li Hao in a deep voice again. Of course it's about refining talismans and seals. Li Hao immediately said directly without concealing it. Refining talismans and seals? When the old man heard Li Hao's words, a strange color suddenly appeared in his eyes. He could actually refine talismans. Even if you know how to refine it, you can probably only refine some ordinary low-level talismans. In the box on the right, there are 2 spiritual stones each. You can take as many as you want. The old man spoke calmly again, then took out an elixir, stuffed it into his mouth, and began to heal the injury. When Li Hao heard the old man's voice, his expression froze again. So casual? 2 spiritual stones for 1, this guy is not cheap. However, considering that making talisman paper was also very complicated, Li Hao did not lower the price. The next moment, Li Hao looked to one side and saw a large wooden box in the corner. Some dust had accumulated on the wooden box. Li Hao opened the box directly and saw some yellow paper inside the box, which was talisman paper. He didn't know how long it had been there. Li Hao glanced at it and saw that there were about 400 to 500 talismans in this box, which was enough for him to spend a lot of money on. I want all these talismans. How about the 800 spirit stones? Li Hao directly said to the old man again. Li Hao didn't even count. When the old man heard Li Hao's voice, he couldn't help but cast a strange light on Li Hao. Want them all? If I remember correctly, the number of talismans in my box should be 498. For the sake of your sincerity, let's put together 1,000 spirit stones. The old man said to Li Hao in a deep voice again. Li Hao couldn't help but be startled. Get it all together? Is it so easy to get together? Li Hao was speechless. Shouldn't it be cheaper, but it was actually more expensive. However, Li Hao didn't care. He currently has a lot of spiritual stones in his system, including many top-grade spiritual stones. That spiritual vein will continuously produce spiritual stones. Make a deal. Li Hao said directly, and then with a wave of his hand, a bunch of spiritual stones appeared on Li Hao's body. These spiritual stones were filled with extremely rich spiritual energy, which was even richer than ordinary low-grade spiritual stones. Mid-grade spiritual stone. Next to him, Liao couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the pile of spiritual stones in front of him. These spiritual stones were all middle-grade spiritual stones, a total of 100. If they were counted as low-grade spiritual stones, they would be exactly 1,000. One top-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 10 high-grade spiritual stones, and one high-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 10 mid-grade spiritual stones, and so on. The old man also had a strange look in his eyes at this moment. He didn't expect Li Hao to be so cheerful. He gave 1,000 spirit stones as soon as he asked. He couldn't help but look at Li Hao a few times. He deliberately asked for more spirit stones. 2. Unexpectedly, the other party was not angry, and even gave the spirit stone generously. Not bad, boy, you are very good. Song Yun Hai, if you encounter any problems in this ancient city, please come to me. The old man looked at Li Hao and nodded, as if he was very satisfied with Li Hao, and then spoke directly and gave his name. When Li Hao heard the old man's words, he felt a strange emotion in his heart. Hearing the other person's tone, he was trying to protect himself. He seemed very awesome. Okay. No problem. Li Hao suddenly smiled and said, but he didn't take it to heart. Is this necessary? If it's a problem that he hasn't solved yet, what role can he play? However, the opponent's strength is indeed not weak. He should be the strongest among the masters he has ever seen. Maybe Xia Kunlun is no match for him. Li Hao gave the spirit stone and collected the talismans without hesitation. Farewell. Li Hao said to the old man, and then walked straight out of the store. Behind him, Lao did not hesitate and followed Li Hao directly. Lao was also very shocked. Is this guy in front of him so proud? Just give me 1,000 spiritual stones. However, why wasn't Li Hao so generous to him? He had to provide the materials himself to refine the poison elixir. As soon as Li Hao left the store, he discovered that the crowds were all heading in one direction, and that direction was the depths of the ancient city. The auction at Shenbaomen is about to begin. Everyone, hurry up. If you go late, there won't be any seats. Why are you panicking? You can't get in even when you arrive. Do you have 100 spiritual stones? What 100 spiritual stones? The admission fee for the auction is 100 spirit stones, don't you know? Among the crowd, the uproar of the crowd continued, reaching Li Hao's ears, making Li Hao's eyes slightly condensed again. The auction is about to begin? Mo Tianxing and Tang Wanchen should have passed by. Li Hao immediately followed the direction of the crowd without any hesitation. Just over 10 minutes later, Li Hao saw a huge square attic appearing in front of him. The attic is 3 stories high, but it is very grand and luxuriously decorated. Above the gate, there is a plaque with 3 words written on it, dragon flying and phoenix dancing. Shenbaotang. It is also named after Shenbao, and this is where the auction takes place. At the gate, there were some figures wearing Shenbao men clothes standing proudly, exuding a powerful aura. At this moment, Zhao Si was standing at the gate of Shenbao Hall, with masters from Shenbao sect beside him. He was filled with an arrogant temperament. He was sent by his Shenbao sect to preside over the auction, act as a facade, and sat on a table. On the chair, the folding fan was swinging, looking graceful. Next to the gate, there is a guard handle. A middle-aged man wearing a blue robe, who looks to be in his 40s or 50s, and has a domineering aura about him, is holding the place here at the moment. If it's Grand Master Hao Hai, he will break through the sea. Oh my god, it's actually Grand Master Hao Hai. When did he become a member of Shenbao Men? The people who came here at this moment were all powerful monks, and they were also people who had lived for decades. They were very knowledgeable. Some people's eyes fell on this middle-aged man in a blue robe, and they recognized the identity of this middle-aged man. This middle-aged man is also a master figure, his name is Shi Pohei, and his title is Grand Master Ha Hai. Moreover, Shi Pohei had disappeared for many years. Unexpectedly, he was in Yunyanshan city and became a member of Shenbao sect. When everyone saw this Shi Pohei, they were immediately shocked in their hearts. Those who want to enter the auction need 100 spirit stones for foundation building and 10 spirit stones for pill formation. Those who are strong masters do not need to give it. The next moment, everyone heard Shi Pohei speaking directly. The voice slowly spread, and it contained his powerful cultivation aura, which directly resounded throughout the world. When everyone heard what Shipohe said, they were shocked again. Sure enough, this auction is not something you can enter casually. You have to give spirit stones. This is also a means of making money for Shenbeo section. People with different cultivation levels pay different spiritual stones and treat them differently. I want to go in, these are the 10 spirit stones. I am the Dan Dan. As Shipohe finished speaking, many monks immediately stood up and released their power of cultivation. I also form pills, and these are the 10 spiritual stones. Some people happily took out the spirit stones and walked in directly, while some monks who were cash-strapped had ugly expressions and could only watch others go in. Shipohe. I haven't seen you for so many years. I didn't expect you to be alive. At this time, a voice sounded in the field again. Everyone followed the sound and saw 2 old men walking straight over with 2 pretty women holding their heads down. It was Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing, bringing the 2 girls Tang Qianqian and Yuanzi with them. Just because the 2 women were very good looking and had an aloof aura about them, the eyes of the monks around them suddenly lit up and they almost looked straight. At this moment, Zhao Si, who was sitting on the chair, had a strange look in his eyes. It's really the best. And there are still 2. Zhao Si hadn't seen a woman with such an outstanding appearance and temperament for a long time, and some thoughts suddenly came to his mind. Immediately, Zhao Si stood up. The 2 old men in front of him were probably not ordinary people. They were definitely not ordinary people who could directly call out Shipohe's name without changing his expression. Tang Wanchen. You're not dead, so I can't die either. When Shipohe heard Tang Wanchen's words, a strange color appeared in his eyes, and he looked at the 2 old men in front of him. He naturally knew these 2 people in front of him, and they were both masters of the older generation. Mo Tianxing, you actually came out? Your cultivation has been ruined. What are you doing here? Is your sword sect still there? Shipohe looked at Mo Tianxing aside and said in a deep voice, he and Mo Tianxing were not easy to deal with in the past. Even if it's useless, it's much better than some people who are just dogs. Mo Tianxing said calmly. Mo Tianxing, this is my Shenbeo sect's territory. Are you looking for death? Even though Shipohe was angry, a useless person dared to speak to him like this. Boom. A powerful aura of cultivation was immediately released from Shipohe's body. The aura was astonishing. That aura was not an ordinary strong person in the early stage of the God transformation realm, but a mid-stage God transformation realm. When Shipohe's cultivation power was released, everyone present felt a huge force of oppression, and their hearts were shaken. So strong. Is this the strength of Grandmaster Haha? Isn't this an ordinary Grandmaster? Have you seen any good shows? The other party doesn't seem to be weak either. Immediately, there was another uproar coming from the mouths of the surrounding monks. Shipohe looked at Mo Tianxing coldly, with a sharp edge in his eyes, as if he was about to take action, but he was actually testing him. But Mo Tianxing remained calm. Before Mo Tianxing could say anything, Tang Wanchen beside him could no longer hold back. Boom. Immediately, a shocking power of cultivation was also released from Tang Wanchen's body. The majestic power of cultivation shook the world and stirred up the storm. Shipohe, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you entered Shenbeo Men. What benefits has Shenbeo Men given you? If you want to take action, I will accompany you. Tang Wanchen said in a deep voice again. Did he know that Shipohe in front of him was a loner? How could he disappear for many years and enter Shenbeo Men? The benefits provided by Shenbeo Men are probably extraordinary. Tang Wanchen's voice, it also exudes an unparalleled power and is not afraid at all. Seeing the scene and feeling the power of Tang Wanchen's cultivation, Shipohe's expression condensed slightly. He was not absolutely sure about Tang Wanchen. Elder Shi, you are a guest. Who is this senior? At this time, Zhao Si stood up and said with a smile, stopping the scene. Medicine King Tang Wanchen. Shi Pohei said directly to Zhao Si. When Shi Pohei's voice came out, those around him were shocked again. What? He is Medicine King Tang Wanchen. That Grand Master Alchemist. I wonder if he can refine the magic pill? I want to ask for one. Immediately, a series of uproar resounded from the surrounding people, and the name of Medicine King was still very loud. As for him, Sword Sect Mo Tianxing. At this time, I heard Shi Pohei speak directly again. Mo Tianxing, the master of the Sword Sect. Another Grand Master from the older generation. However, I heard that this Mo Tianxing's cultivation seems to have been ruined. Now that Xia Kunlun has returned, several more masters have emerged. This world is about to change. When everyone around them heard Mo Tianxing's name, they immediately let out exclamations of exclamation. Zhao Si was also shocked, but a glint flashed in his eyes. It turns out to be Senior Medicine King, Mr. Zhao, please come in. Immediately, Zhao Si said to Tang Wanchen again, looking polite. After finishing speaking, Zhao Si looked at Mo Tianxing again. As for Senior Mo, I'm sorry, our Shenbao Hall has rules. Those who enter the auction will be given 100 spirit stones for foundation building and 10 spirit stones for core formation. Those who are strong masters do not need to give it. I'm afraid you have to give 100 spirit stones. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 505. Zhao Si said to Mo Tianxing coldly. According to what Shi Pohei said, Mo Tianxing's cultivation has been deposed. Since he is a deposed Grand Master, and he still has some conflicts with their Shenbao sect elder Shi Pohei, there is no need to give too much face, so Zhao Si was not polite at all at this moment. When everyone around heard Zhao Si's words, there was a strange look in their eyes. At this time, when Tang Wanchen heard Zhao Si's words, his expression suddenly darkened, and he looked at Zhao Si coldly, with a hint of coldness in his eyes. Ha ha! Before Tang Wanchen could say anything, Mo Tianxing laughed when he heard this. Isn't this Zhao Si looking for death? Mo Tianxing's heart also burst out with a cold look, and his eyes were even more gloomy. But there was another strange color in Mo Tianxing's heart. The next moment, everyone saw Mo Tianxing's body again, with a strong spiritual power bursting out from it. Boom! The momentum was earth-shattering. At this moment, the color of heaven and earth changed, and the wind and clouds in the sky were rolled back by it. At this moment, everyone suddenly felt an earth-shattering sense of oppression, and their hearts were filled with unparalleled horror. Grand Master. He is also a master. It's not foundation building, it's not pill formation. It's Grand Master. What kind of cultivation is this? It's too powerful. Didn't you say that his cultivation should not be ruined? How can he be so powerful? The information is wrong. His. At this moment, the entire audience was shocked. Many people gasped, their eyes were full of shock, and they exclaimed. How is this possible? At this moment, Shi Pohei looked at the scene in front of him with a horrified expression. He actually felt a powerful threat from Mo Tianxing's body. The other party's cultivation level was actually stronger than his. How is this possible? You must know that he is already a strong man in the middle stage of divine transformation. If the opponent is stronger than him, wouldn't he be in the late stage of divine transformation? Late stage of divine transformation. How is this possible? Aren't your cultivation levels abolished? Shi Pohei said silently to Mo Tianxing. Ha ha. My cultivation has been abolished? That's right. My cultivation has indeed been abolished. but can't it be restored after it's been abolished? Hearing Shi Pohei's words, Mo Tianxing couldn't help but laugh again. However, the powerful momentum did not restrain at all, but looked at Zhao Si in front of him again. At this moment, Zhao Si's expression also changed dramatically, and it was extremely exciting. Now, do you still want to give me spiritual stones? Mo Tianxing looked at Zhao Si coldly and said in a deep voice, with a hint of pride in his voice. Zhao Si's face became extremely ugly, and the corners of his mouth twitched when he heard these words. No, no. I didn't expect that Senior Mo is also a strong master. Mistake, mistake. Please come in and take a seat. Zhao Si said quickly, with a smile on his face. Is it possible to ask the other party to give spirit stones? The other party is also a strong master, and he is also a master in the late stage of divine transformation. He is more powerful than Shi Poheidu, and he is on the same level as his father. He cannot afford to offend an existence of this level. It is best not to offend him casually. Even with the Shenbao men behind him, he cannot create such a powerful enemy for the Shenbao men. He. When Mo Tianxing heard Du Zayasi's words, he smiled lightly again, but said nothing. It's best to keep your eyes open. Next to him, Tang Wanchen made a faint sound again. Then, he took out 20 spirit stones directly from the storage bag and said to Zhao Si. That's the price of admission for both of them. Tang Wanchen directly gave Tang Qianqian and Yuanzi their admission fees. When Zhao Si heard what Tang Wanchen said, he couldn't help but be shocked again. It turned out that these two women were really together. It seems that the thoughts in his head have to be put away for the time being. There are two powerful masters nearby. It is difficult to get hold of these two women, and they can't do anything random. Two beauties, please come inside. Immediately, Zhao Si said to Yuanzi and the two girls with another smile on his face. But Yuanzi and the other two looked at him lightly and said nothing. Let's go in. At this time, Tang Wanchen said to the two women again, preparing to go inside. Grandpa, Li Hao hasn't come yet? Do you want to wait for him? Tang Qianqian said at this moment that she wanted to wait for Li Hao here. I told him before, he should be coming too, right? Tang Wanchen said immediately, and as soon as he finished speaking, a strange color suddenly appeared on Tang Wanchen's face. Huh? Isn't this coming? As Tang Wanchen finished speaking, Tang Qianqian, Yuanzi and others followed Tang Wanchen's line of sight and saw a handsome figure slowly walking towards them. It was Li Hao. Li Hao. Tang Qianqian shouted to Li Hao again. Li Hao came directly in front of several people and nodded. You've come just in time, it hasn't started yet. Li Hao said with a smile. No, I'm just waiting for you. Tang Wanchen said calmly again. Huh? Who is this sick boy? At this time, Tang Wanchen made another sound of surprise and looked behind Li Hao. Behind Li Hao was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. He was thin and had no appearance. What's abnormal, but Tang Wanchen could tell at a glance that this guy was probably ill and not in good spirits, so he immediately asked. My name is Lao. Hello, Senior Tang. Lao immediately stood up and introduced himself. They had actually arrived just now, but they just didn't come behind the crowd. Lao also saw the scene where Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing released their cultivation just now, and he also felt something in his heart. He was extremely shocked. The two people in front of him were both powerful masters. Li Hao actually knew this, especially Tang Wanchen, who was a master of alchemy and was even called the king of medicine. No wonder Li Hao was confident that he could help him refine the poison pill. He knew the medicine king. Lao suddenly realized something in his heart, and immediately his face was filled with excitement, and he quickly came out to get acquainted. I met someone when I was shopping. I owe him a poison-repelling pill. He insists on following me. Does Mr. Tang have any ready-made pills? Li Hao immediately said to Tang Wanchen that if the old man had a ready-made elixir, it would be best to just ask for one, and there would be no need to refine it himself. The poison pill? No wonder the body looks hollowed out, it turns out that it was poisoned. After hearing Li Hao's words, Tang Wanchen immediately understood. No wonder he felt that the other person looked sick and his body was hollowed out. It turned out to be poison. That's a coincidence. I really don't have a poison-reducing pill. I have a lot of healing pills, spirit-restoring pills, and Yuan Pei pills, but I really don't have a poison-resolving pill. However, if you have the materials, I can help you refine it. Tang Wanchen immediately said again that in his opinion, although Li Hao knew the magic of acupuncture, he might not necessarily know how to make alchemy. If he could make alchemy, no one in Dewa would dare to call him first if he was ranked second. Tang Wanchen had such confidence in his alchemy journey. No? Then forget it. You'd better prepare the materials yourself first. Li Hao said calmly again, looking at Lei Ao beside him. Lei Ao nodded immediately. This Yunyinshan city will be open for 2 or 3 days. With so many stalls here, there must be elixirs selling. It should not be difficult to raise all the elixirs to refine the gu pill. Since we are all here, let's go in together. At this time, Tang Wanchen said again. Li Hao also nodded, ready to go in together. Wait a moment. But at this time, Zhao Si spoke up again and looked at Li Hao. Spiritual stone. Zhao Si said to Li Hao in a deep voice. He could not tell Li Hao's cultivation level, but the other party looked younger than him. Couldn't he be a master? He. After Zhao Si finished speaking, Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxin couldn't help but laugh, with a strange color in their smiles. At this moment, even the 2 girls next to them, Tang Qianqian and Yuanzi, couldn't help but have a faint smile on their faces. I don't have to give it. Li Hao also laughed and said lightly. After hearing Li Hao's words, Zhao Si's face suddenly condensed, and he immediately said coldly to Li Hao. Why? Didn't you make your own rules? Li Hao immediately said in a deep voice. That Zhao Si's face couldn't help but darken again, a sharp look flashed in his eyes, but he said coldly, could it be that you are also a grandmaster? Only grandmasters are eligible to enter for free. If he were a grandmaster, he would have become an earth immortal. In short, Zhao Si didn't quite believe it. He. Hearing Zhao Si's words, Li Hao couldn't help but sneer again. I'm sorry, I'm really a master. Li Hao said calmly, but there was a hint of pride in his voice. Boom. Immediately after Li Hao's words fell, a powerful cultivation aura was immediately released from Li Hao's body. Strong spiritual power instantly flowed and rose through Li Hao's body. Li Hao's whole person became detached, and his aura became more powerful. Shocking. Li Hao activated the power of cultivation, but not all of it. He still retained some of it, but only released the master's aura. But at this moment, as Li Hao's master's aura broke out, the whole place was shocked. Grandmaster. Oh my God. Another Grandmaster, he is also a strong Grandmaster. This is so shocking. Such a young and powerful Grandmaster. I remember it. He is the newly promoted youngest Grandmaster. It's him, he's him, protector of the country Li Hao, Grandmaster Li. It's him. No wonder he has such a strong aura. It is said that he once defeated the Zhao Tianshen, and not long ago he defeated the Kunlun war god Xia Kunlun. Is it true? Of course it's true. I watched his video. He is indeed the same as the person in the video. A series of uproar suddenly sounded from the mouths of the surrounding monks. Immediately, many people recognized Li Hao, and some even called out Li Hao's title. Li Hao's reputation as protector of the country is really resounding. All eyes fell on Li Hao. At this moment, Li Hao directly became the center of attention. Now, are you qualified? Li Hao didn't care about the eyes of the crowd, and looked at Zhao Si in front of him and said coldly. At this moment, Zhao Si was also extremely shocked, his face became a little ugly, and even cold sweat came down on his forehead. A strong force of oppression descended on him, and he felt that he was not well. How is this possible? How old is this guy? How could he be a master? Zhao Si's own talent is already very good. Before he was 30 years old, he was already a strong man in the late stage of Jindan, only one step away from the master. This talent is the top existence in Zhenbao men. This talent has always been the pride of Zhao Si. But at this moment, Zhao Si only felt that he was hit and crushed in all aspects. The other party not only looks better than himself, but also has a stronger cultivation than himself. Zhao Si was so angry that he was about to spurt blood. Zhao Si was extremely shocked in his heart, and he still didn't quite believe it, but the facts were in front of him, so he had to believe it again. Zhao Si opened his mouth, but he didn't know what to say. But at this time, I didn't expect it to be so lively here today. A voice came out from the crowd again, resounding through the world. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, but they saw a middle-aged man in a white robe, walking towards the side with steps. This middle-aged man exuded a vast power. As he walked, it seemed that a fierce momentum was born, pushing the crowd in front of him away, and involuntarily making way. Huh? Xia Kunlun. Seeing the person coming, Tang Wanchen couldn't help but have a strange look again, and said in a condensed voice. Li Hao's face was also condensed. He had seen and known this middle-aged man in front of him. To be precise, he had fought with him, but when Li Hao was about to start, the other party ran away. Xia Kunlun. This middle-aged man was Xia Kunlun. Xia Kunlun, you are here too. Mo Tianxing also said lightly. As Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing spoke, the people around them were suddenly shocked. What? Xia Kunlun. He is the Kunlun god of war Xia Kunlun. Another master. A series of uproarious voices suddenly sounded, and everyone's eyes fell on Xia Kunlun again. Tang Wanchen, Mo Tianxing. And you, Li Hao. Xia Kunlun came directly in front of several people, and his eyes swept over them, with a gleam of brilliance in his eyes, especially when he looked at Li Hao. He paused. Li Hao was also looking straight at Xia Kunlun at this moment, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. What? Do you want to continue fighting? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 506. When Xia Kunlun heard Li Hao's words, his expression changed slightly. This is Yunyanshan city. If we fight here, we won't give them Shenbao men face. If we want to fight, wait until we get out of here. I will accompany them to the end. Xia Kunlun said coldly again, his face unchanged, as if he was not afraid at all, but in fact, he was already a little scared in his heart, but there were so many people watching here at the moment. When does the auction start? Xia Kunlun asked Zhao Si again. 10 more minutes. Zhao Si said directly immediately. Then I'll go in first. Is it okay to sit in a private room? Xia Kunlun said directly again. There are private rooms in this auction. The private rooms are on the second and third floors. They have a wide view and are condescending. You can clearly see the things on the auction table. Apart from the private rooms, you can only sit in the lobby, and there were many people, it was crowded, and it was uncomfortable. Well, if Senior Xia wants to sit in a private room, it's no problem. Zhao Si said directly, since Xia Kunlun said so, then just open a private room for the other party. Kunlun God of War still has to give him face. When Xia Kunlun heard this, he was immediately satisfied and walked in directly. Since Xia Kunlun can sit in a private room, it shouldn't be a problem for us to sit in a private room, right? Seeing the scene just now, Tang Wanchen also said aloud that he really forgot about the private room just now. There are just a few of them in a private room. When Zhao Si heard Tang Wanchen's words, his brows suddenly wrinkled slightly again, and his face condensed slightly. No problem, no problem. Senior Tang, you are also Grandmasters. The private room in my Shenbao Men is specially reserved for Grandmasters. Zhao Si immediately said directly again. Yeah. That's interesting. Hearing this, Tang Wanchen nodded immediately, and then looked at Li Hao and the others. Immediately, everyone walked directly into the Shenbao Hall. Upon entering, a few people saw a huge space in front of them, which was very luxuriously decorated. In the center was a high platform, and on the high platform, there was a table. The chairs are arranged neatly below, and the chairs are already full of people. There are not many seats left, and the ones left are all in the corners with poor visibility. As soon as Li Hao and others came in, someone led Li Hao and others directly to a private room. Soon, Li Hao and others entered the private room. This private room is not big, only about 10 square meters. There are 2 sofas and a coffee table next to it. There are some desserts, fruits, and the like on the coffee table, which are very delicately decorated. Li Hao looked at the people in the field, and he felt a sense of surprise in his heart. Most of these monks were strong in the Danji realm. There were at least hundreds of them, and among them there were some who were in the late stages of the Danji realm. They were far away from the divine transformation realm. The Grand Master is only one step behind. In addition to the monks on the first floor, Li Hao also felt several powerful auras in this Shenbao Hall, 3 to be precise. Li Hao felt them all from the private rooms opposite. Obviously, in the private rooms on the opposite side, there are powerful masters of the transformation of God realm. One of the auras should belong to Xia Kunlun, but the other 2 auras felt a bit strange to Li Hao and he didn't know who they were. This Shenbao Tang auction really attracted attention. Even the masters and powerful people came. Not long after, the entire Shenbao hall was filled with people, and no one came in at the door. Li Hao saw that Zhao Si, the young master of Shenbao sect, also walked in directly at this moment, and Shi Pohei, the master of Hahai, followed Zhao Si as if to protect Zhao Si's safety. The next moment, Mr. Zhao straightened his clothes and even smoothed his hair. He looked proud, and then climbed onto the high platform in the center without saying a word. Ahem. Zhao Si coughed twice, cleared his throat, and then spoke proudly. Hello, bosses and fellow Taoists. I believe you all know me, right? Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhao Si, the young master of Shenbao sect. Thank you all for coming here despite your busy schedule and spending money to come to our Shenbao hall. I won't say much nonsense. I will only say one thing. Today our Shenbao hall will auction 30 carefully selected good things. It will definitely be able to let everyone make this trip worthwhile. Next, let's start the auction directly. As Zhao Si finished speaking, a woman in a dress walked out from behind the high platform. This woman was tall, probably about 1.7 meters tall. She looked very slender in addition to wearing a pair of high heels and a dress. This woman's appearance is also good. If she gets a perfect score of 100, it would be at least around 90. Especially her temperament, which is also very outstanding. The most important thing is that this woman has a noble temperament. Is actually also a monk in the late stage of the Dan formation realm. Sister, I leave it to you. Zhao Si said directly to the woman. The people present were all monks, and their ears were so sharp, and that Zhao Si didn't cover up at all, he just shouted directly. Everyone's hearts were shocked when they heard what Zhao Si called the woman. Sister. Is this woman the sister of Zhao Si? No problem. The woman said lightly, then stood on the stage, and then stood where Zhao Si was standing just now. My name is Zhao Xinli. Next, I will host this auction. The woman said directly again, her voice was very pleasant. Next, we will start our first auction item. As Zhao Xinli finished speaking, another beautifully dressed woman came up with a tray in both hands. The tray was covered with red cloth. I don't know what's underneath, but it looks like it shouldn't be big. She walked up directly. The next moment, the tray was placed directly on the small square table in front of Zhao Xinli. At this moment, everyone's eyes fell on the small square table in front of Zhao Xinli, and they were curious about what the first auction item was. Then, Zhao Xinli did not hesitate and immediately pulled the red cloth on the tray apart. The next moment, everyone saw a jade talisman appear in front of them. It looked like a jade pendant with some runes engraved on it, but everyone felt a strange fluctuation from the jade talisman. What is this? Many people looked at the jade talisman with a puzzled look on their faces, not knowing what the jade talisman in front of them was. But the first item that Zhenbao Hall took out for auction must be extraordinary. The preaching jade talisman. This is a preaching jade talisman. The next moment, a voice came from somewhere unknown, but it fell into everyone's ears. Everyone in the field was shocked again when they heard this voice. What? This is the preaching jade talisman. Oh my God, no wonder it looks so strange. It's a preaching jade talisman. Is this the preaching jade talisman that contains the will of the ancestors in the legend? Shocking voices suddenly rang out from the mouths of these cultivators. Preaching, this jade talisman is called the preaching jade talisman. As the name suggests, it is naturally used for preaching. In other words, this jade talisman contains the will left by some predecessors, or the perception of their cultivation, or contains some preaching skills, and even some blocking skills. In short, this jade talisman for preaching is hard to come by, and it is very rare. Moreover, the person who can leave this jade talisman must have at least the level of a master, or even a stronger immortal. Only a master or above the master is qualified to become the leader of a sect, to pass on the teachings, and to preach. Unexpectedly, the first thing that Chen Baotang took out for auction at this moment was a jade talisman for preaching. For a moment, pairs of eyes fell on this jade talisman for preaching, and many people's eyes turned red. That's right, this is a jade talisman for preaching, which should be left by a powerful earth immortal. It must contain a powerful technique. The starting price is 5,000 spirit stones, and each bid is no less than 100. Immediately, Zhao Xinli said with a smile and quoted the auction price. Although it is said that it contains a powerful technique, it is not certain whether it is a technique or something else. If you buy it, there is a lot of gambling involved. 5,100, I want this preaching jade talisman. Immediately, another cultivator stood up to bid, and directly quoted 5,100 spirit stones. There were many people with high net worth in the field, some of them were disciples of large sects, or some clansmen of hidden families. Although 5,000 spirit stones were a lot, it was a sky-high price for some cultivators, but for these people from large sects and large families, they could still afford it. Okay, 5,100, anyone else? Hearing someone's offer, Zhao Xinli immediately spoke up again. 5,200. 5,300. 5,400. 5,500. At this time, there were cultivators who kept bidding, and the price of this preaching jade talisman soared directly. Okay, 5,500, 5,500 for the first time. Zhao Xinli immediately spoke up again. 6,000. I'll offer 6,000. No one can compete with me. I'll take this jade talisman. At this time, another voice resounded in the field. The person who spoke was a middle-aged man with a big belly. His cultivation was not strong, but he was very generous. He directly raised the price to 6,000. Okay. 6,000 for the first time. Is there anyone else to bid? Hearing the bid of this middle-aged man, Zhao Xinli was shocked again. The higher the auction price, the better the benefit to Shenbao Hall, and she herself could get more commissions. She said excitedly. 7,000 spirit stones. However, just as Zhao Xinli's voice came out, another voice resounded in the field. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a cold-faced young man sitting in the field. There seemed to be some people around him, and he seemed to be the leader. It's Chu Yulong, the young master of the Black Dragon sect. Chu Yulong of the Black Dragon sect? The Northeastern Black Dragon sect. Is he the young master of the Black Dragon sect? So he is the young master of the Black Dragon sect, no wonder he is so heroic. Immediately, someone recognized this young man and was immediately shocked. The Black Dragon sect is also a force in Dewa. Although its leader is not a master, its leader Chu Hilong is a half-step master, and he practices a powerful bodybuilding technique. His combat power is very strong, comparable to a real master. The Black Dragon sect he founded is also famous in Dewa. The middle-aged man looked at Chu Yulong coldly, his face darkened. Someone actually wanted to snatch it from him. Although Chu Yulong was the young master of the Black Dragon sect, he was from a hidden family. If he could get the jade talisman, his cultivation would be able to go one step further and become a strong man in the spiritual transformation realm. So he was determined to get the jade talisman. Excuse me, I want this jade talisman. I'll give you 8,000 spirit stones. Young Master Chu, do you still want to follow? The middle-aged man immediately said yes and quoted a price of 7,000 spirit stones. Okay. 8,000 spirit stones for the first time. Zhao Xinli saw the scene and shouted excitedly. 9,000. However, just as Zhao Xinli finished speaking, Chu Yulong directly shouted out 9,000. 9,000 spirit stones. Oh my god. It's really too generous. Hearing the two people's offer, the cultivators in the field exclaimed again. For them, it was really a sky-high price. 9,000 spirit stones, it was indeed very high. When the middle-aged man heard the price offered by Chu Yulong, his face suddenly became a little ugly. He brought a lot of spirit stones in his storage bag, but if he spent too much on this jade talisman, he might have some good things later. Then he would have no chance to fight for it. 10,000 spirit stones. The middle-aged man said directly again, calling out a high price of 10,000. If Chu Yulong followed again, he would give up. But, it was unexpected. Haha. 10,000 spirit stones, it's really stupid and rich. Take it if you want it. After hearing the middle-aged man's second offer, the Chu Yulong on the opposite side sneered faintly and said in a deep voice. Immediately, Chu Yulong did not follow again. Hearing Chu Yulong's words, the middle-aged man's face became unusually ugly again. No matter how you look at Chu Yulong, it seems like he did it on purpose. Okay. 10,000 spirit stones for the first time, is there anyone else to bid? Zhao Xinli said directly. 10,000 spirit stones for the first time, 10,000 spirit stones for the second time, is there anyone else? 10,000 spirit stones for the third time, deal. This preaching jade talisman belongs to this young man. Congratulations. Zhao Xinli announced the result directly. Immediately, a staff member came up and took the preaching jade talisman away. Next, please bring our second auction item. As Zhao Xinli's voice fell, another woman in a short skirt came up with a box. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 507. The preaching jade talisman fell into the hands of the middle-aged man. The second auction item was brought up directly. This was a box. No one knew what the box was made of. Everyone was curious again. What exactly was the second auction item? Zhao Xinli opened the box directly. Suddenly, everyone saw that a strong breath came out of the box, and a fist-sized blood-red inner pill appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, everyone felt a shocking demonic aura from this huge inner pill. In addition to the shocking demonic aura, everyone felt a scorching breath. The demon pill seemed to be filled with extremely rich and pure flame power. This was a demon beast inner pill, and it was not an ordinary demon beast inner pill. Oh my god, this is a demon king's inner elixir. Is this a demon beast's inner elixir comparable to that of a master? It's also of fire attribute. Immediately, exclamations resounded in the Shenbao hall. All of them were shocked by the demon elixir in front of them. The demon beast inner elixir of the master level is very rare. It is very beneficial to practice and refine it. Even for the master, it is a good thing that is desirable but unattainable. Moreover, this demon elixir is of fire attribute, which is even more rare for those cultivators who practice fire attribute techniques. I think everyone has recognized this thing. This is a Demon King level Earth Fire Dragon's inner elixir. There is no second one in our entire Shenbao gate. The starting price is still 5,000 spirit stones. The auction starts now. This Zhao Xinli said directly. 5,100. 5,200. 5,500. 6,000. As soon as Zhao Xinli finished speaking, voices came from the mouths of these cultivators, and they began to bid. In less than 2 minutes, the price of this Earth Fire Dragon's inner elixir was shouted at a high price of 10,000, and it was still rising sharply. 15,000. 16,000. After a while, the number of people bidding had become fewer, and each time the price was raised, it had reached 1,000. At present, these guys who were bidding were all wealthy. 16,000 spirit stones, do you have any more? 16,000 for the first time. 16,000. Seeing such a high price, Zhao Xinli's face also showed excitement, and she said immediately, 20,000. But at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded again, coming from a private room on the second floor. When Li Hao and others heard this voice, they couldn't help but condense their hearts. It was actually that Xia Kunlun. I didn't expect that Xia Kunlun also had ideas about this demon pill, and he directly called out a price of 20,000 spirit stones. He was really rich. When everyone at the scene heard Xia Kunlun's voice, they were also shocked and shouted in uproar. It's Kunlun God of War. Kunlun God of War also wants this demon pill. 20,000 spirit stones, my entire fortune doesn't have that much. Let's not fight for it. If we fight with Kunlun God of War, won't we offend him? For a while, after Xia Kunlun bid 20,000 crystal stones, no one bid again. Many people still have self-knowledge and are unwilling to fight with Xia Kunlun, making him unhappy and offending him. 20,000 spirit stones for the first time. 20,000 for the second time. 20,000 spirit stones. On the stage, Zhao Xinli said directly again. When she was about to shout out the deal, a voice resounded in the entire space again. 20,100. A look of surprise suddenly appeared on everyone's face, and they all looked in the direction of the voice. This voice also came from the private room on the second floor, but it was opposite Xia Kunlun's private room. At this moment, in the private room where Li Hao and his friends were, Li Hao, Yuanzi and others also had extremely surprised faces, looking at Tang Wanchen beside them. The voice just now came from Tang Wanchen's mouth. He, this demon pill is an excellent material for me to refine a kind of elixir. Don't miss it. Seeing the surprised eyes of several people, Tang Wanchen smiled again and said in a deep voice. When everyone heard Tang Wanchen's voice, they immediately realized that this was the case. Tang Wanchen actually wanted to take a picture of this demon pill as a material for alchemy. I guess the quality of the elixir that Tang Wanchen wanted to refine must be very high, and it must be extraordinary. When Tang Wanchen called out the price of 20,100, Xia Kunlun in the private room opposite froze and looked a little ugly. Tang Wanchen. Xia Kunlun's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Tang Wanchen and him were not meant to be together. Was he doing this on purpose? And he only raised the price by 100. On the high platform, Zhao Xinli was also a little surprised. She originally thought that no one would bid against Xia Kunlun, but she didn't expect that Chen Yaojin would suddenly appear halfway. However, she liked this Chen Yaojin, and it brought a good benefit to Shenbao Hall. 20,100 spirit stones for the first time. Is there anyone who wants to bid? Zhao Xinli said immediately. As soon as she finished speaking, Xia Kunlun's voice sounded again. 21,000 spirit stones. 21,100 spirit stones. But as soon as Xia Kunlun called out the price, Tang Wanchen's voice rang out immediately, each time it was higher than Xia Kunlun's by 100. 22,000 spirit stones. Xia Kunlun also shouted directly, but his expression was extremely gloomy. 22,100 spirit stones. Tang Wanchen seemed to be at odds with Xia Kunlun, still smiling. 25,000. Tang Wanchen, you sincerely want to compete with me, right? And that Xia Kunlun immediately shouted sharply, his voice full of anger, as if he couldn't help but burst out. Ha, no fight, no fight, this demon pill is yours. But Tang Wanchen laughed again, and said directly as if his plan had succeeded. It really feels like I have given up without making any more offers. But Xia Kunlun's complexion had turned livid. This guy definitely did it on purpose. 25,000 spiritual stones for the first time, 25,000 spiritual stones for the second time. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? On the stage, Zhao Xinli's face was also glowing and she shouted again. 25,000 spirit stones for the third time. Deal. As Zhao Xinli's voice fell, the demon pill was finally bought by Xia Kunlun for a high price of 25,000 spirit stones. Although he successfully photographed the demon pill, Xia Kunlun's expression did not look good. Although he had many spiritual stones, there was nothing wrong with his head. The high price of 25,000 spiritual stones was even higher than that of this demon pill. Dan's original price. If it weren't for Tang Wanchen, why would he have offered such a high price? Xia Kunlun immediately felt a hint of resentment towards Tang Wanchen again. We'll see. As the demon pill was photographed by Xia Kunlun, the third auction item was brought up. It turned out to be a long sword. The long sword showed a green and white color, and there was a spiritual light and cold air on the long sword. Pressing. The Qingming sword, a low-grade spiritual weapon, contains a trace of ice power. The starting price is 5,000 spiritual stones. Immediately, Zhao Xinli introduced him directly, and then said the starting price, which was still 5,000 spirit stones. Many people at the scene also had a look of salivation in their eyes when they heard Zhao Xinli's words. Weapons of the spiritual weapon level are very rare, especially for those who are strong in the realm of pill formation. If they have a spiritual weapon in their hands, they may only be able to have the ability to fight beyond the next level. Although it is only low grade, it is still very rare. Nice one. 5,100 spirit stones. 5,200. 6,300. Soon, the price of this low-grade spiritual weapon, the Qingming sword, began to rise. After a while, this low-grade spiritual weapon, the Qingming sword, was the spiritual stone that was called 8000. However, Li Hao, Tang Wanchen and others looked at the scene and did not bid. Obviously, they were not very interested in this low-grade spiritual weapon Qingming sword. Let's not talk about Tang Wanchen as the king of medicine. Many people used to come to him to ask for elixirs and he exchanged a lot of spiritual weapons. Mo Tianxin next to him, as the master of the sword sect, was a master of weapon refining and had no shortage of weapons. Furthermore, Li Hao, there are still two long swords in the system world. One is the fairy-level star demon sword that he got in the sword tomb before, and the other is the sword that Li Hao killed. The evil disciple Mo Tianxin got it later. Therefore, several people were not very interested in the Qingming sword in front of them. But even so, this Qingming sword still fetched a high price of 13,000 spirit stones, and was finally bought by an unknown monk. Next, good things were brought up one after another. Spiritual weapons, elixirs, spiritual herbs, demon elixirs, and even exercises were all put up for auction by Shenbaotang, and they were all taken at very high prices. As time goes by, more and more monks have gained something. Gradually, this auction is coming to an end. The next auction item was obtained by chance by our Shenbao section. It is said that it was obtained from the ruins of an immortal mansion. I don't know what it is specifically, but it is definitely a good thing. As Zhao Xinli finished speaking, another woman came up carrying a tray. On the tray, there is a piece of something that looks like a piece of iron, but it is golden, or in other words, it looks like a piece of gold or more, but it is not gold. It looks very ordinary, like fragments falling off some weapon, but it gives people a very long-lasting feeling. At this moment, everyone's eyes couldn't help but fall on the sound of this golden fragment again, and their expressions froze. For things obtained from the immortal mansion, there is a 90% chance that this golden fragment is a good thing. But if it is a really good thing, the Shenbaotang will actually put it up for auction. Wouldn't it be better to keep it for yourself to pry into the secrets? Ms. Zhao, there seems to be a seal on this thing, right? At this time, some sharp-eyed people saw something unusual and felt that there was a seal on this golden fragment. Yes, there is indeed a seal. If there was no seal, our Shenbao sect would not sell it. Even the master of Shenbao sect could not break this seal, so we put it up for auction. But it is very rare. Opportunity. Zhao Xinli did not hide the slightest, and said directly that the seal on this golden fragment was very powerful, even if it was so powerful that even the master of Shenbao sect could not break it, which was enough to show how extraordinary this golden fragment was, but the seal could not be broken. Treasures that are not sealed are mysterious but useless, so they can sell them if they can, but it doesn't matter if they can't. When these monks heard Zhao Xinli's words, they were immediately shocked again. When they looked at the golden fragment, there was a look of surprise in their eyes. Even the master of Shenbao men couldn't break the seal on it? How is this possible? If they film it, they won't be able to untie it, which will be a huge loss. Many people even thought of giving up and did not intend to bid. At this moment, in the private room where Li Hao and others were, the eyes of Li Hao and others also fell on this golden fragment. Old Mo, what do you think of this thing? Tang Wanchen asked Mo Tianxin next to him. It should be a fragment of some treasure, but I can't see the details. And the seal on it may not be broken by ordinary people. Mo Tianxin's eyes suddenly glowed with gleam, and he said in a deep voice. If it cannot be solved by ordinary people, then there is almost no solution. It's useless to take pictures. After hearing Mo Tianxin's words, Tang Wanchen nodded immediately and had no idea about this golden fragment. But Li Hao next to him stared at the golden fragment with his eyes, and he felt a tremor. Just because at this moment, in Li Hao's eyes, the sound of the golden fragment in front of him actually appeared with a dazzling exclamation point, which made Li Hao's whole body shake violently. Hint. Here we go again. Li Hao immediately suppressed his inner excitement and clicked on the exclamation mark. This is a fragment of an ancient artifact. It contains the power of the Great Avenue and also carries an unimaginable mystery. Don't miss it when you pass by. What are you waiting for? Click downward arrow for more tips. Immediately, the system prompt appeared in Li Hao's mind. Li Hao was shocked to the extreme when he saw this prompt. Do the fragments of ancient artifacts contain the power of the Avenue? Just this, it has to be auctioned off. Li Hao then clicked on more prompts. There is a powerful seal on this fragment, which can only be broken by the power of gods. A prompt suddenly jumped out again. I wipe. Seeing this prompt, Li Hao's excited heart felt like a bucket of cold water had been poured on him, and he couldn't help but curse. Only an immortal can break this seal? Isn't this an international joke? In this age of Dharma ending, when spiritual power is exhausted, where can the gods come from? Even Ye Hongxiu is just an earthly immortal. Just when Li Hao was thinking about whether to take a photo, then Zhao Xinli had already quoted the starting price. 100,000 spirit stones. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 508. 100,000 spiritual stones is the starting price for this golden fragment. Not too high. But even so, Li Hao had some thoughts about this golden fragment. Maybe he won't be able to break the seal in a short time after getting it, but Li Hao believes that one day he will become a heavenly immortal. The earthly immortal is already in front of him, can the heavenly immortal be far behind? Moreover, he is still the destined person of the system, and he is a perfect template for the protagonist. What? 100,000 spiritual stones. Oh my God, isn't this too expensive? It's not that much even if you sell me. It seems that this fragment has no connection with me. Even if there are so many spiritual stones, I won't buy them. Even the master of the Shenbao sect can't break the seal. What's the use of buying it? It's better to take pictures of other things. As Zhao Xinli shouted out the starting price of 100,000 yuan, the monks in the venue immediately made extremely shocking sounds. Such a high price discouraged many people, let alone whether they could come up with the 100,000 yuan price. Even the seal on the spirit stone cannot be broken by them. If the seal cannot be broken, the fragment will be useless. At this moment, the masters in the bakery, such as Xia Kunlun and others, were also thinking about it in their hearts, but they did not make an offer immediately. For a moment, no one in the entire lobby made a quote, and the scene fell into a moment of silence. 100,000, does anyone want to take a photo? Seeing this scene, Zhao Xinli also had a look of embarrassment on his face. Although he had some expectations in his heart, he didn't expect that no one really made a bid. Is this golden fragment still going to be unsold? The first item that went unsold? But as Zhao Xinli's voice came out again, no one bid. Is there really no one? Seeing this scene, Zhao Xinli's pretty face became a little unsightly, and she immediately asked again. Still no one responded at the scene. Ms. Zhao, would you like to quickly place an auction item? Yes, this thing is too expensive. If you give me 1,000, I will buy it. Hurry up and put on the next one. In the field, the monks couldn't help but speak out again and said directly. Well, it seems that no one really wants it. If there is really no one, then. After hearing the words of these monks, and the fact that several minutes had passed until now, Zhao Xinli felt that no one would take pictures of this thing, and was afraid that it would really go unsold, so she sighed and said. However, Zhao Xinli has not finished speaking yet. I want 100,000 spirit stones. A voice suddenly sounded in the lobby, but it made everyone feel a strange color in their hearts. At this moment, everyone followed the sound and looked towards the private room where Li Hao and others were. At this moment, Tang Wanchen, Mo Tianxing, and others next to them all had a look of astonishment in their eyes, because the person who had just spoken was none other than Li Hao beside them. "Little brother, you." Tang Wanchen opened his mouth wide. "The seal on this thing can't even be opened by the owner of the Shenbao section. It's useless for us to take pictures. And even if it is opened, if there is nothing inside, it will be a big loss." Then Mo Tianxin couldn't help but said directly that in his opinion, Li Hao's move was not a wise move. Even Yuanzi and Tang Qianqian on one side had a look of surprise in their beautiful eyes at this moment. 100,000 spirit stones. Li Hao, this is 100,000 spirit stones. The two women couldn't help but said to Li Hao, doubting whether Li Hao had so many spirit stones. This was not a small sum of money. He. After hearing what a few people said, Li Hao smiled lightly. "Take pictures for fun, we still have 100,000 spirit stones." Li Hao said disapprovingly, as if he didn't take these 100,000 spirit stones into his eyes at all. Upon hearing Li Hao's words, several people nearby were immediately stunned. Several people couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. 100,000 spirit stones, take pictures for fun? It's so arrogant. It's so arrogant. As Li Hao's voice came out, everyone at the scene was surprised. Unexpectedly, someone actually made a bid. At this moment, even Zhao Xinli on the stage was suddenly happy. Someone actually took the photo. It was really good. This is the first time for 100,000 spiritual stones. Is there anyone else who bids? Zhao Xinli said again immediately. But as soon as Zhao Xinli's words came out, the scene fell silent, and there was no bid. Just when everyone, including Zhao Xinli, thought that no one would bid again. But a voice suddenly came from the private room opposite. 100 and 500 spiritual stones. Everyone looked along and saw an arrogant middle-aged man sitting in the window of the private room on the second floor. He had an incomparable majesty on his body and gave people a sense of insolence. It was Xia Kunlun. "Okay, 100 and 500 spirit stones for the first time." When Zhao Xinli heard Xia Kunlun's voice, another light flashed through her beautiful eyes, and a look of joy appeared on her pretty face. What a surprise! Xia Kunlun, the Kunlun god of war, also made a bid. Good thing, this is a good thing. No matter whose hands this fragment falls into, it won't go unsold. Xia Kunlun looked calm and relaxed, and when he quoted the price, there was a flash of edge in his eyes. When Li Hao heard Xia Kunlun's voice, his face could not help but darken. Could it be that Xia Kunlun also saw something? Li Hao couldn't help but look at Xia Kunlun, and Xia Kunlun across from him felt Li Hao's gaze, and his eyes met with Li Hao's, but there was a cold arc at the corner of his mouth. "I'm sorry, I've also taken a liking to this thing." Xia Kunlun said directly to Li Hao, looking apologetic, but Li Hao saw a hint of provocation in his eyes. "It doesn't matter, the one with the highest price gets it." Another smile appeared on the corner of Li Hao's mouth, but there was a cold glow in the smile. It was intentional. This guy definitely did it on purpose. Maybe it was because Tang Wanchen competed with the other party when he bought the demon pill. The price is so bad. Li Hao didn't pay much attention, and immediately said calmly. 100,000 spirit stones, although a lot, is a small problem for Li Hao. In Li Hao's system, everything is lacking, but there is no shortage of spirit stones. Spiritual veins can continuously provide spirit stones, and Li Hao is currently there are also a lot of spiritual stones, including a lot of top-grade spiritual stones. 100,000 spiritual stones, that is, 100,000 low-grade spiritual stones. To put it bluntly, it is just 100 top-grade spiritual stones. 110,000 spirit stones. Li Hao directly shouted out the price again. Just added 10,000. Very good, It's my first time with 110,000 spirit stones. Do you have any more quotes? When Zhao Xinli heard Li Hao's new offer, her heart was shocked again, and she immediately said excitedly, 110,000 spirit stones for the first time, 110,000 spirit stones for the second time. 120,000 spirit stones. But at this time, Xia Kunlun's voice sounded again, and he added 10,000 spiritual stones again. When Li Hao heard Xia Kunlun's voice, his heart froze again, and a cold arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. 130,000 spiritual stones. Li Hao quoted again. 150,000 spiritual stones. Xia Kunlun also made another offer, just like Li Hao's confrontation. 200,000 spirit stones. But even so, Li Hao's expression did not change much, and he quoted a high price of 200,000 yuan again. Li Hao was determined to get this golden fragment. The system had already given a reminder, so naturally he could not miss it, even if it happened again. Li Hao would not hesitate to buy as many spiritual stones as he wanted. As Li Hao shouted out the price of 200,000 yuan and added 50,000 spirit stones at once, Xia Kunlun's expression changed again at this moment. When something goes wrong, there must be a monster. The other party attaches so much importance to the golden fragment in front of him, is there any way to remove the seal on it? Since this golden fragment was obtained from the ruins of the immortal mansion, it must be extraordinary. If the other party wanted to get it so much, he might have spied on something. Xia Kunlun had fought with Li Hao before, and knew how powerful Li Hao was. He knew that Li Hao had combat power that far exceeded those of the same level. Since the other party had taken a fancy to this thing, the thing in front of him was probably an absolutely good treasure. And if the other party wants to get it easily, how is that possible? Xia Kunlun deliberately made a bid to make the other party feel disgusted even if he couldn't win. 21,000 spirit stones. Xia Kunlun deliberately quoted a price of 210,000. 250,000. But just as his voice fell, Li Hao on the other side shouted out another 250,000. Oh my God, isn't this too grand? It's tens of thousands or tens of thousands more. Isn't this spiritual stone free of charge? When Xia Kunlun across from him heard Li Hao's quotation, his face suddenly darkened again. 250,000 spiritual stones was not a small sum even for him. The other party is not bluffing, right? Boy, do you have so many spiritual stones? This is the Shenbao Hall, not a place where you can just shout out prices. If you take the picture later, you won't be able to get so many spiritual stones. At this time, Xia Kunlun said coldly to Li Hao again. His words were very direct and the meaning was clear. When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he naturally understood what the other party meant, and immediately said it calmly. Of course you don't have to worry about this. Miss Zhao, you'd better verify it. Xia Kunlun immediately said again, obviously looking for trouble. Zhao Xinli frowned when he heard this. Xia Kunlun was right, so Zhao Xinli immediately looked at Li Hao again. Master, it's not okay to make random bids. Don't break the rules of our Shenbao Hall. Therefore, we need to verify whether you have the ability to auction this thing. Immediately, Zhao Xinli said directly to Li Hao again. He. When Li Hao heard this Zhao Xinli's words, he couldn't help but frown again, and there was a coldness in his eyes. If you want to verify it, why don't you verify him first? Li Hao said directly. Haha. Don't I even have these spiritual stones? What a joke. When Xia Kunlun heard Li Hao's words, he said directly. Grandmaster Xia naturally has this spiritual stone. With the title of Kunlun God of War, it is worth more than 200,000. It has been verified long ago. Zhao Xinli said immediately. Master, please don't make things difficult for us. We just need to see if you have the ability to take a photo of this item. Otherwise, you will not be qualified to bid on this item. Zhao Xinli immediately said in a deep voice. Li Hao's heart felt cold again. Treat them differently? Haha. Are you qualified? When Li Hao heard what the other party said, he couldn't help but laughed coldly again. As Li Hao's words fell, Li Hao immediately waved his hand without any hesitation. The next moment, pieces of spiritual stones appeared in front of Li Hao, and those spiritual stones contained extremely pure spiritual power, and there seemed to be spiritual liquid inside the spiritual stones. When these spiritual stones appeared, the entire space was instantly filled with extremely rich spiritual energy. The spiritual energy spread and shocked everyone. At this moment, their cultivation seemed to be due to these spiritual stones. There was a wave of fluctuation due to the appearance of the stone. This is. Why is there such strong spiritual energy? What kind of spiritual stone is this? Isn't it a low-grade spiritual stone? Is it middle grade? Or top grade? That spiritual energy has turned into spiritual liquid. Mao's mid-grade, that's the best. The best spiritual stone. Oh my god, it's actually the best spiritual stone. How is this possible? 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, and 4 pieces. How much is that? 250 yuan, that's a whole 250 yuan. Oh my god. With the appearance of these spiritual stones in front of Li Hao, everyone present immediately showed extremely shocked expressions and were shocked to the extreme. Just because these spiritual stones in front of me are extraordinary. They are not ordinary low-grade spiritual stones, nor medium-grade spiritual stones, nor high-grade spiritual stones, but the highest grade, top-grade spiritual stones. And instead of just 1 or 2 pieces, Li Hao directly took out 250 top-quality spiritual stones. Everyone was shocked. Everyone looked straight at these top-quality spiritual stones in front of Li Hao, and kept gasping. At this moment, Tang Wanchen, Mo Tianxing, and others beside them were stunned. They did not expect that Li Hao would directly take out 100 top-quality spiritual stones. Across the way, Xia Kunlun looked at the scene with a strange look in his eyes, and his expression became even more ugly. Even Zhao Xinli was directly shocked at this moment. Now, are you qualified? At this time, Li Hao looked at Zhao Xinli again and said lightly, as if even these 250 top-quality spiritual stones were nothing in Li Hao's eyes. When Zhao Xinli heard Li Hao's words, her heart was filled with turmoil. You are qualified, of course you are qualified. If you are not qualified, then no one is qualified. Zhao Xinli's attitude immediately changed 180 degrees, a smile appeared on his face, and he said to Li Hao. In that case, let's continue. Li Hao said lightly again, but then looked to the opposite side, where Xia Kunlun looked a little ugly. 250,000 spiritual stones, do you still want to follow? Li Hao said lightly, with a hint of ridicule in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 509. 250,000 spiritual stones, do you still want to follow me? Li Hao spoke slowly, but there was a hint of ridicule in his voice. When Xia Kunlun heard Li Hao's words, his expression became extremely gloomy again. 250,000 spiritual stones was not a small sum. However, the next moment, Xia Kunlun had another sneer on his face. He didn't intend to get this golden fragment. The reason why he bid was to discuss the other party. Looking at the other party's appearance, he looked determined to get it, so Xia Kunlun had no scruples. What if I follow you a little bit more? I'll give you 260,000 spiritual stones. Xia Kunlun directly quoted the price of 260,000, and then looked at Li Hao provocatively. Can you still afford to follow me? Seeing this scene, Li Hao was not angry, and another cold smile appeared on the corner of Li Hao's mouth. Li Hao also had a murderous intention in his heart at this moment. I only heard Li Hao say calmly, "Sorry, I won't follow." As Li Hao finished speaking, Xia Kunlun's brows on the opposite side wrinkled again. Don't follow? This was a bit beyond Xia Kunlun's expectation. Could it be that the other party's determination to win was just an act? How is this possible? Can't you keep up? Xia Kunlun said coldly to Li Hao again. Haha, that's right. If you can't afford to follow, you won't follow. Li Hao didn't care at all and said with a smile, but in Li Hao's heart, he had already added Xia Kunlun to the blacklist. How could Li Hao give up this golden fragment like this? Since the other party wanted to help him pay, Li Hao followed the other party's wishes. After hearing what Li Hao said, Xia Kunlun's face couldn't help but darken again. He originally wanted to disgust the other person, but he didn't expect that he was disgusted by the other party. 260,000 for the first time, 260,000 for the second time. That Zhao Xinli said directly again at this moment. Is there anyone else? Zhao Xinli said excitedly that the price of 260,000 yuan was much beyond her expectation. 260,000 for the third time. Deal. Immediately, Zhao Xinli made the decision directly. This golden fragment was directly bought by Xia Kunlun for 260,000 yuan. On the other hand, after Xia Kunlun took the picture of the golden fragment, there was no smile on his face. Instead, there was a crisis in his heart at this moment. Could it be that he felt wrong? Wrong. For a moment, Xia Kunlun also became vigilant in his heart. He had fought with Li Hao, and the opponent's strength was already threatening him. Could it be that he still wanted to attack him after the auction? But soon, Xia Kunlun's eyes also burst out with a glimmer of light. Don't overestimate your capabilities. Although the opponent is very strong, he is a monk in the late stage of incarnation. Although the opponent has extraordinary combat power and can threaten him, he is not a vegetarian, and if he wants to leave directly, the opponent may not be able to keep him. It can't be done. There seems to be no one in the entire Dawa and even the entire continent who can keep him here. Xia Kunlun also has strong confidence in his own strength. Beside Li Hao, Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing were a little surprised by Li Hao's actions. Naturally, they could see that Li Hao wanted to win this auction item, and Li Hao was not lacking in spiritual stones. But for some unknown reason, Li Hao gave this thing to the other party at the critical moment. Since someone wants to help me give the spirit stone, don't give it for free. Perhaps because he saw the doubts of a few people, Li Hao looked at a few people and said lightly, but when this voice fell into the ears of Tang Wanchen and several people, they couldn't help but feel shocked. They heard it? The killing intent contained in Li Hao's voice. Did Li Hao actually want to steal Xia Kunlun's things? Among their cultivators, there are many people who kill and steal goods, and it is also very common to kill people and seize treasures. But this is the first time they have seen anyone who dares to have such thoughts towards a strong master. This guy is so brave. Little brother, this Xia Kunlun is not easy to deal with. Even if I take action, I have no absolute chance of winning. Next to him, Mo Tianxing arranged an isolation formation on the entire private room with a flick of his hand, and then said to Li Hao in a deep voice. Yes, Li Hao, Xia Kunlun is known as Kunlun God of War. His strength can definitely be ranked among the top 3 in the entire Dawa, and after so many years, his cultivation is only strong but not weak. Tang Wanchen also echoed from the side. When Li Hao heard this, he said calmly. Isn't this me? I have already defeated him. Li Hao's voice was filled with an unparalleled and powerful confidence. When Tang Wanchen and others heard Li Hao's words, their expressions were shocked again. Is this guy in front of them a joke? Do you have the strength to deal with that Xia Kunlun? Haha, aren't we still here with you? When the time comes, we will need your help to prevent Xia Kunlun from retreating without a fight. Li Hao laughed again and immediately said to Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing. If you really have a way to keep the Xia Kunlun, then what if we accompany you to fight for a while? After thinking for a moment, Mo Tianxing said directly that Li Hao was a great favor to him for saving his life. Li Hao needed his help, and he was happy to do so. And for the guy in front of him, Mo Tianxing, there is also a touch of absolute belief in my heart. This guy must be extraordinary to be recognized by the sword sect's immortal sword. Well, if you really want to attack Xia Kunlun, then I will accompany you. I have long disliked Xia Kunlun. After Mo Tianxing agreed, Tang Wanchen next to him also agreed. Next, the auction continued. However, the auction was almost coming to an end. And the remaining auction items were all treasures of Shenbao men. Soon, when a staff member of Shenbao men brought up a cage, everyone was shocked again. Just because, in this cage, there was a purple monster that looked like a kitten, and this monster was not big, only half a meter long, and seemed to be a young beast. The most important thing was that this was the back of the monster, and there was a pair of small wings-like things growing, which seemed not to have grown out completely. But even such a small-sized young beast, when it appeared here, exuded an extremely amazing demonic aura, and the powerful momentum released from its petite body made everyone in the audience feel a throbbing. Is this a demon beast cub? This is a purple-winged leopard. Oh my god, it's actually a purple-winged leopard cub. The purple-winged leopard is a high-level demon beast. An adult purple-winged leopard is a demon king comparable to a master. And this purple-winged leopard can fly directly when it grows up. Oh my god, this Shenbao hall actually took out a purple-winged leopard cub for auction. Shocking voices came out from the mouths of these cultivators, and some cultivators even recognized the name of this demon beast directly. This demon beast is a high-level demon beast cub named Purple-Winged Leopard. It can fly when it grows up, comparable to a master. If you get this Purple-Winged Leopard cub and let it recognize its master, it is equivalent to having an additional demon beast companion, and it is a growing type that can grow into a master, and it can also be used as a mount. In the future, when you are in a hurry, you don't need to drive, let alone fly in the wind. You can just sit on this purple-winged leopard. Isn't it cool? I saw that although the purple-winged leopard was very small, it was extremely fierce. In the cage, it bared its teeth and kept hitting the cage, but the cage was engraved with a formation, which directly blocked all the power of the purple-winged leopard cub. No matter how it hit, the cage was still as strong as before. This is a purple-winged leopard cub. I believe everyone knows it. I won't say much about its value. The starting price is 500,000 spirit stones. Each bid is not less than 10,000 spirit stones. Immediately, Zhao Xinli said directly and reported the starting price of this purple-winged leopard. 500,000 spirit stones. As soon as the starting price was announced, many of the monks below were frightened. The starting price is actually 500,000. My god, this is too high. This thing is not for me. Alas. Many people sighed and regretted. After hearing the starting price, they had no idea about the purple-winged leopard cub. Such a high price, they couldn't get it even if they sold it. Many people were discouraged. Start bidding now. Zhao Xinli said to everyone again. As Zhao Xinli's voice fell, someone immediately started bidding again. 501,000 spirit stones. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw that the person who spoke was a thin young man with an extraordinary aura. It's Chu Ming from the Netherworld sect, the saint of the Netherworld sect. No wonder he can offer such a high price. Someone immediately recognized the identity of this young man, the saint of the Netherworld section. The Netherworld sect is also a force on the continent, but it is not in Dawa, and its sect is also very powerful. 520,000 spirit stones. After the saint of the Netherworld sect bid, someone else started bidding. This voice came from a private room. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw through the window of the private room that there was a bald man sitting in the private room, half wearing a monk's robe. He looked like a monk, but the whole person gave people a feeling of being fierce and evil. It's the Fuhu Luhan of Luhan Temple. Is he the Fuhu Luhan? One of the 18 Luhan of Luhan Temple. Luhan Temple is another powerful force. It is said that there are 18 Luhans in it. The strength of each Luhan is very powerful, and the two Luhans, the dragon and the tiger, are both masters. The bald man in front of him is the Fuhu Luhan of Luhan Temple, one of the two great masters. At this moment, everyone in the field was shocked again. Unexpectedly, Luhan Temple also intervened. It seems that Fuhu Luhan also has great ideas about this purple-winged leopard cub. 530,000 spirit stones. After the Fuhu Luhan of Luhan Temple quoted the price, someone else quoted it immediately. This time, the person who quoted the price was a woman in a pink dress. She had a delicate appearance, painted bright makeup, and was wearing a somewhat revealing dress. Even when she was sitting there, she exuded a sense of charm all the time. Who is this woman? She looks so damn cool. I don't even know this, but I look like I'm from the Paradise sect. It's Yang Jinlian, the saint of the Paradise section. Damn it, he's actually from the Paradise sect, no wonder. Someone again recognized the identity of the woman who said this, and she was Yang Jinlian, the saint of the Paradise sect. The Paradise sect is also a very famous sect on the mainland, and this sect is famous for only accepting women, and the women here are the kind of people who do not care about the means for the purpose. The most powerful means is it's their beauty, and they often use it to play with those men. For a moment, pairs of eyes couldn't help but fall on Yang Jinlian. They couldn't help but look at her a few more times. Many men felt salivating in their hearts. This woman is so attractive that many men want her. 540,000. 550,000 spirit stones. 600,000. Voices rang out one after another, and more people began to bid, and these bidders at this moment were all famous people. They are all big guys. People who can shout out more than 500,000 spirit stones are either rich or noble, and most of them are people in power from some immortal sects, hidden aristocratic families, or big forces. Even Xia Kunlun called out the price again. Soon, the price of this purple-winged leopard cub was as high as 1 million, and it was still rising. In the end, this purple-winged leopard cub was actually bought by Fuhu Luhan from Luhan Temple for 1.3 million. After the purple-winged leopard cub was photographed, the auction really came to an end. Next, is the last lot of this auction. Are you ready? After Zhao Xinli spoke out again, everyone in the venue felt extremely shocked and hopeful. What exactly is the last lot? It must be extraordinary to be able to be taken out by the Shenbao Hall. Bring this last treasure up. Zhao Xinli said directly again, and as her voice fell, another staff member walked up directly carrying a box. This box is rectangular and made of wood. I don't know what kind of wood it is, but the box has large and small runes engraved on it. The next moment, the box was placed directly on the table in front of Zhao Xinli. Is everyone ready? Zhao Xinli also seemed a little agitated at this moment. Looking at everyone, Zhao Xinli took a deep breath. Then, Zhao Xinli opened the box directly in front of everyone's attention. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 510. As Zhao Xinli opened the box. Boom. An astonishing wave emanated from the box, and everyone felt an extremely powerful pressure descending on them. This pressure was even stronger than the pressure released by the Grandmaster. Everyone's face was filled with shock at this moment, and their eyes were fixed on the box. What was in the box? Everyone held their breath, extremely curious. The next moment, they saw that the contents of the box were revealed to everyone's sight. It was actually a piece of bone. However, the bone was like jade, and it was filled with a pure aura, and there was spiritual light flowing on it. What is this? It looks like a piece of arm bone. It's a human bone. But how can a human bone be transparent? For a while, a series of surprised voices came from the mouths of these cultivators. They didn't know what the bone in front of them was. It looked like a human arm bone, but everyone was uncertain. But no matter what kind of bone it was extraordinary at first glance. This is immortal bone. But at this moment, a voice came from a private room on the second floor. Next to Li Hao, Tang Wanchen also stood up at this moment. Looking at this jade-like bone, his face showed an extremely shocked expression. Indeed, this is an immortal bone. On the side, Mo Tianxing also said in a low voice at this moment, and his voice was also full of shock. Immortal bone? When Li Hao heard what Mo Tianxing and Tang Wanchen said, his eyes also had a gleam of brilliance. Was this bone left by an immortal? Li Hao's face was also slightly condensed. From this immortal bone, Li Hao also felt a breath like the avenue. As Tang Wanchen's voice came out, the cultivators below heard this, but they made an extremely shocked sound. What? Immortal bone? This is actually an immortal bone. Is this the last auction item? My God! If you get this immortal bone, wouldn't it be possible to peek into the mystery of becoming an immortal? A series of uproars suddenly came from the mouths of these cultivators. Everyone was shocked by the immortal bone in front of them. In this era, spiritual power is exhausted and it is no longer possible to become an immortal. The master is the strongest. But even so, all the cultivators have never stopped, especially those masters, who have been looking for the opportunity to become an immortal. At this moment, with the appearance of this immortal bone, these masters at the scene have a strong impulse in their hearts, wanting to grab this immortal bone into their own hands. This is the finale of Shenbao Hall's auction. The appearance of this immortal arm bone really caused a huge shock. This is the last item of our Shenbao Hall's auction this time. Immortal bone. I don't need to say much about its value. The starting price is 5 million spirit stones. Zhao Xinli said directly again, saying the starting price of this immortal bone. 5 million spirit stones. This price is enough to deter 99% of the people in the audience, and it is not an exaggeration to call it a sky-high price. Start the auction now. Each bid must be no less than 100,000. As Zhao Xinli's voice sounded again, the auction started directly, and the highlight began. 5,100,000 spirit stones. As soon as Zhao Xinli's voice fell, a voice sounded. It was the saint of the Nether sect, Chu Ming. 5,200,000 spirit stones. Following that, Xia Kunlun's voice also rang out. Xia Kunlun was determined to get this immortal bone. If he had an immortal bone, he could use it to peek into the secret of becoming an immortal, and maybe he could use it to break through to the earthly immortal realm and achieve immortal status. This is almost there, so don't miss it. 5,300,000 spirit stones. This time, it was the Fuhu Luhan of the Luhan Temple who spoke. I didn't expect that after just bidding more than 1 million spirit stones to buy the purple-winged leopard cub, he would still be able to take out so many spirit stones to compete for this immortal bone. 5,400,000 spirit stones. 5,500,000 spirit stones. 7 million spirit stones. As the voices came out one after another, the auction price of this immortal bone soared at a rocket-like speed, and soon reached a height of 7 million. Moreover, those who spoke out to bid were either masters or the saints and young masters of the immortal sections. They were extraordinary and either rich or noble. Only they can afford such a high price and have the qualifications to compete for this immortal bone. 8 million spirit stones. At this time, a voice sounded from Li Hao's side again. It was Tang Wanchen who spoke up and directly offered a high price of 8 million spirit stones, which made Li Hao on the side look surprised and looked at Tang Wanchen in surprise. I didn't expect that Tang Wanchen was so generous. 8.5 million spirit stones. However, as Tang Wanchen's voice fell, Xia Kunlun directly shouted to increase the price by 500,000. This scene landed in everyone's eyes, and they were all shocked again. This Xia Kunlun really came prepared. Hearing Xia Kunlun's offer again, Tang Wanchen's face became a little solemn again. 9 million spirit stones. Tang Wanchen said in a deep voice again. When Tang Wanchen's voice came out, Tang Qianqian beside him was a little confused. "Grandpa, are you so rich?" Tang Qianqian couldn't help but say, as if she had just met her grandfather again at this moment, and was shocked by the generosity of Mr. Tang. When Tang Wanchen heard the words of his granddaughter next to him, a black line appeared on his forehead. "Hush!" Tang Wanchen whispered to Tang Qianqian, "This is all the wealth of my family. Don't tell anyone." It is indeed as Tang Wanchen said, these 9 million spirit stones are the wealth he has accumulated for so many years, and it has reached his limit. At this moment, after the price of this immortal bone was raised to this point, there were not many people who could afford it. 9 million spirit stones for the first time. Is there anyone who wants to bid? Opportunities are rare and will never come again. Zhao Xinli spoke again, livening up the atmosphere on the stage. 10 million spirit stones. But less than a minute later, a deep voice sounded in this space again. The person who spoke was none other than the Fuhu Luohan of Luohan Temple, the big monk. 10 million spirit stones. Are all monks so rich? This is spirit stones. When the voice of Fuhu Luohan fell, exclamations came out from these people. 10 million spirit stones for the first time. Is there anyone who bids? 10 million spirit stones for the second time. Just when Zhao Xinli's voice was about to fall again. 11 million spirit stones. But at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in Shenbao Hall again. Everyone's eyes fell on Li Hao again. The voice just came from Li Hao's mouth. When Li Hao shouted out the 11 million, his expression did not fluctuate too much, as if the 11 million spirit stones were nothing in Li Hao's eyes. His little brother, you are too generous, aren't you? Beside Li Hao, Mo Tianxing and the others looked at Li Hao with astonishment, and couldn't help but exclaimed. Li Hao looked calm when he heard Mo Tianxing's words. This immortal bone is a good thing, but it is not something that Li Hao must get. For Li Hao, this immortal bone is dispensable. Li Hao believes that even if he doesn't have this immortal bone, he can still become a strong man in the fairyland. It's just a matter of time. 111 million spirit stones for the first time, is there anyone else? 111 million for the second time. I'll offer 12 million. At this time, Xia Kunlun's voice rang out again. It seems that even with such a high price, Xia Kunlun still didn't give up this immortal bone. And not only Xia Kunlun didn't give up, but the Fuhu Luohan of Luohan Temple didn't give up either, and immediately offered again. 13 million spirit stones. I'll take this immortal bone. This Fuhu Luohan also looked generous, not taking the 13 million spirit stones seriously at all. His tone was not ordinary arrogant, and the whole person seemed extremely domineering. Really? Master Fuhu, I'll take this immortal bone too. Let's see who offers the higher price. When Xia Kunlun heard Fu Luohan's words, he was not afraid at all, and said in a deep voice, "I'll offer 15 million spirit stones." Xia Kunlun said proudly again. Hearing Xia Kunlun's words, Fu Luohan's face suddenly condensed, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He. This Fu master immediately sneered again. "Xia Kunlun, let's see who offers the higher price. I'm afraid you have already reached your limit, right?" Fu Luohan immediately said coldly again. "I offer 16 million, will you follow?" Immediately, Fu Luohan offered another high price of 16 million. When Xia Kunlun heard what Fu Luohan said, his face could not help but slightly condensed, becoming a little ugly. Indeed, as the other party said, the current price is almost reaching his limit. Even though he is a master of the older generation, he has been in the world for many years and has entered the underground world and got a lot of spirit stones there, but even so, his spirit stone storage is still not too much, and his entire property is only about 20,000. But this immortal bone is extremely important for whether he can break through to the earthly immortal realm. As long as he succeeds in becoming a strong man in the earthly immortal realm, no one in the entire continent will be his opponent. At that time, everything can come back, and everything others have can become his own. So, Xia Kunlun also gave up everything, even if he paid all his property to get this immortal bone. Just when Xia Kunlun was about to bid again, 117 million spirit stones. A voice sounded again, and Xia Kunlun's face became even colder when he heard it, and he looked at Li Hao coldly. "It's this guy again. Is this guy doing it on purpose again?" "That's right, this 17 million was paid by Li Hao again." Looking at Xia Kunlun's face that looked like he had eaten shit, Li Hao's mouth showed a smile again. Beside Li Hao, Tang Wanchen and the others were still extremely shocked. "Alas, I can't afford it. Little brother, you are awesome." Tang Wanchen sighed and couldn't help but say to Li Hao. Across from him, the Fu Luohan couldn't help but look at Li Hao at this moment, with an undisguised coldness in his eyes, and his expression became a little solemn. Although he didn't know Li Hao, and couldn't see through Li Hao's cultivation, the person who could sit in the private room must not be simple. This was a strong enemy, and there were two masters next to this guy, which made him have to pay attention. However, this immortal bone is an extremely rare thing, even if it means losing everything, it is worth it, not to mention that the spirit stones he brought this time are the foundation of his entire Luohan temple, and he can definitely take this immortal bone. 18 million spirit stones. The Fu Luohan shouted directly again. 119 million spirit stones. When the Fu Luohan's voice just fell, Li Hao's voice came out again, his expression was still normal, as if there was no big fluctuation. 20 million spirit stones. But as Li Hao's voice fell, Xia Kunlun said again in a stern voice, as if he had given up everything. This was already the limit he could offer. If the other party offered a higher price, there would be really no way. At that time, maybe he could only wait until after the auction to find another opportunity. My God, 20 million spirit stones. It's really a sky-high price. I have never seen so many spirit stones in my life. I haven't seen it either. Is this a human? The surrounding cultivators made extremely shocked sounds at this moment, and were shocked to the point of being shocked beyond measure by the price in front of them. Such a high price, should it be raised? At the moment, there were actually only 3 people left in the entire Shenbao hall bidding, one was Xia Kunlun, one was Fu Luohan, and the other was Li Hao. 20 million spirit stones. Excuse me. I'll take this immortal bone. Hearing Xia Kunlun's offer of 20 million spirit stones, the face of the Fu Luohan was also condensed, but then he said proudly, 21 million spirit stones. As the voice of the Fu Luohan fell, Xia Kunlun's eyes suddenly burst out with a cold light. In Xia Kunlun's heart, there was a murderous intent. He couldn't offer more. Now, it depends on which of the two people this immortal bone falls into. Very good, really good. Xia Kunlun sneered. For a while, he actually looked forward to this immortal bone falling into the hands of this Fuhu Luohan. This Fuhu Luohan is only an early stage of the spirit transformation, and it takes some time to deal with it. If it falls into the hands of Li Hao, it will be difficult to deal with. Xia Kunlun has seen the opponent's strength. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 511. To Xia Kunlun's surprise, after this Fuhu Luohan offered a high price of 21 million, Li Hao did not bid again. Xia Kunlun looked at Li Hao with a look of doubt. Has the other party given up? 21 million spirit stones for the first time. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? On the stage, Zhao Xinli spoke again. The high price of 21 million spirit stones has reached the price she expected. While saying this, Zhao Xinli looked at the handsome young man again. If there is anyone who can afford a higher price, Zhao Xinli thinks it is probably only this guy in front of her. The scene of this guy casually taking out those top-grade spirit stones is still deeply imprinted in Zhao Xinli's mind. Zhao Xinli intuitively feels that this guy can definitely afford a higher price. However, this guy seems to have lost interest at this moment. He actually sits there without bidding. 21 million spirit stones for the second time. Then, Zhao Xinli spoke again. At this moment, everyone's heart was hanging in the air. Many people in the field also looked at Li Hao, wanting to see whether Li Hao would follow or not. However, Li Hao looked calm and composed without any disturbance. Even Tang Wanchen and others beside Li Hao looked at Li Hao expectantly. Aren't you going to follow? Tang Qianqian looked at Li Hao with wide eyes and said. Yes. It's just a fairy bone, no big deal. I was just playing around just now. Li Hao laughed again when he heard Tang Qianqian's words, and said lightly, as if he didn't take this fairy bone seriously at all. When Tang Wanchen and others heard what Li Hao said, they were speechless. No big deal? Just a fairy bone? This is the fairy bone that everyone dreams of, but this guy said it so unbearably. 21 million for the third time. Deal? This immortal bone belongs to Fuhu Luohan. Afterwards, Zhao Xinli saw that no one had bid again for such a long time, so she spoke out again and announced the deal. As Zhao Xinli's voice fell, this immortal bone was bought by Fuhu Luohan of Luohan Temple at the price of 21 million spirit stones. At this moment, Fuhu Luohan also had an unconcealable smile on his face. He finally got this immortal bone, and finally lived up to his mission of Luohan Temple. Thank you. The next moment, Fuhu Luohan actually looked at Li Hao again, bowed to Li Hao in front of everyone, and there was a hint of gratitude in his voice. In Fuhu Luohan's opinion, the other party should be able to afford a higher price, but he did not bid again. No matter what, it can be regarded as the other party giving this immortal bone to him. When Xia Kunlun saw this scene, he couldn't help but snorted again, with a hint of incomparable sharpness in his eyes. In this case, the only option is to take the worst option. Xia Kunlun had already made up his mind. A fairy bone and a purple-winged leopard cub were enough to make him take action. Did it go through? 21 million spirit stones were sold. This fairy bone was bought by the Master Fuhu from Luohan Temple. The auction is over. Alas, nothing was bought. As Zhao Xinli announced the results of the auction, voices in the field suddenly rang again. Some people felt that they were still unsatisfied, some people couldn't believe it, some people exclaimed, and some people sighed endlessly. Some cultivators bought good things, but most people just came to make up the numbers and got nothing. This auction ends here. Thank you all for coming again. We have already arranged the food and drinks in the restaurant opposite. You can go and eat. This is Shenbeo Hall's thanks. As for the bosses who have bought the treasures, please stay for a while and come to our backstage to pay the spirit stones in exchange for the treasures. Immediately, Zhao Xinli said directly. As Zhao Xinli's voice fell, the people in the field stood up and walked out. Can we still eat? Not bad, not bad, Shenbeo Hall does a good job, and the service is very good. Free meal? It's good, it's a waste not to eat. What's delicious? Let's go. Let's go out and take a walk, maybe we can find something good. A group of figures walked out of Shenbeo Hall. Some people went to the restaurant opposite to eat, while others were not interested in eating and chose to leave directly. Some figures went to the backstage of Shenbeo Hall, preparing to go in and pay the spirit stones in exchange for the treasures that had just been auctioned. Let's go out. Let's go eat first, and then there will be something interesting to watch. Li Hao didn't take any photos, but he didn't look depressed at all, and said to the people around him. A good show? What kind of good show? Tang Qianqian, who was standing next to him, heard Li Hao's words, but looked puzzled, not understanding what Li Hao meant. Yes, there is indeed something interesting to watch. But, little brother, when will you start? Tang Wanchen, who was standing next to him, looked serious again and asked Li Hao. No hurry. Li Hao said calmly, as if he had everything planned out. Immediately, Li Hao and others also walked out of Shenbeo Hall. However, Li Hao's spiritual consciousness has been sensing this place. Everything around him cannot be hidden from Li Hao's perception. If Xia Kunlun leaves later, Li Hao will know it immediately. But looking at Xia Kunlun's appearance, Li Hao was not in a hurry to take action. Xia Kunlun obviously had thoughts about the immortal bone and would definitely take action against the crouching tiger Arhat. As everyone left, Xia Kunlun, Fohuluhan and others also went to the backstage of Shenbeo Hall under the guidance of the staff of Shenbeo Hall. A dedicated person received them and then each paid the corresponding spiritual stones. This is 260,000 spiritual stones. Backstage at Shenbeotang, Xia Kunlun directly took out 260,000 spirit stones and handed them to Zhao Si, who was in front of him to receive him. For strong masters, there is still a distinction between them. No problem, it is indeed 260,000 spirit stones. This treasure belongs to Grand Master Xia. That Zhao Si confirmed the number of spirit stones, and there was no doubt that it was 260,000. He nodded and said, and then handed the box in his hand to Xia Kunlun. In the box was the golden fragment. Xia Kunlun immediately took it and opened the box to confirm. Indeed, the thing contained in this box is the golden fragment he took at the previous auction. Originally, he was just teasing Li Hao and had no idea about this golden fragment. Unexpectedly, he was tricked by the other party. He actually spent a huge price of 260,000 spirit stones to get this golden fragment. It was photographed. Immediately, Xia Kunlun directly picked up the golden fragment again, wanting to examine it carefully. However, when Xia Kunlun's spiritual consciousness had landed on this golden fragment, buzz! Boom! A bright radiance suddenly emerged from this golden fragment, and a powerful forbidden wave directly filled the air. A strange and powerful force erupted directly from this golden fragment, and it actually destroyed Xia Kunlun's consciousness and, the spiritual power is directly shaken away. Seal. This is a seal. A powerful seal. A look of shock suddenly appeared on Xia Kunlun's face. There was indeed a seal on the golden fragment. Immediately, Xia Kunlun's expression changed and became a little ugly. Could it be that more than 200,000 spiritual stones bought a useless thing? No. Xia Kunlun's eyes immediately burst out with a sharp look on you. The next moment, Xia Kunlun directly activated his powerful cultivation power. A powerful spiritual power rose and circulated in the palm of his hand, and directly hit the golden fragments. Xia Kunlun wanted to break the seal on it. But, boom! As Xia Kunlun's powerful power of cultivation was blasted down, some strange runes appeared on the golden fragments. As these runes circulated, they produced incomparable power, and immediately there was an incomparable brilliance. Radiance emerged from this golden fragment. Buzz buzz. At this moment, the entire space seemed to be shaken, and the entire Shenbeo hall trembled, causing quite a shock. And that Xia Kunlun was actually shaken back several steps by the power of the seal. Hiss. Xia Kunlun had a look of horror on his face, his heart was greatly shaken, and he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. He was actually shaken back by the power of the seal, but the seal on the golden fragment remained motionless. Xia Kunlun's expression became extremely solemn again. This seal was definitely not something that a master could break. Grand Master Xia, please go back and try again. Don't demolish our Shenbeo hall. Next to him, Mr. Zhao immediately spoke to Xia Kunlun and said that if Xia Kunlun's powerful cultivation level were to explode at this moment and he tried a few more times, he would probably tear down the Shenbeo hall. But in Zhao Xi's heart, he couldn't help but sneer. Even his father couldn't break the seal on it, and he even tried to find someone to do it many times to no avail. When it was Xia Kunlun's turn, the natural result was the same. Xia Kunlun's 260,000 spirit stones were just a piece of ancient fragment that couldn't be broken, so it was completely useless. Hearing Zhao Xi's words, Xia Kunlun looked solemn and calmly put away his cultivation power again and stopped trying. Then, Xia Kunlun put the box and the golden fragment in the box directly into the storage bag. Xia Kunlun then looked at the other side, with a glint in his eyes, and then left here directly. At the same time, in another room next to it. At this moment, the crouching tiger Arhat was also paying spirit stones in exchange for the things he had photographed before. These 5 rings contain all the spiritual stones. Take a look. Fuhu Arhat directly took out 5 storage rings and handed them to Zhao Xinli in front of him. This Fuhu Arhat took pictures of immortal bones and purple-winged leopard cubs, which cost him more than 20 million spirit stones. However, he was her largest customer in Shenbeo Hall, so of course she was the one to personally receive them at this moment. Zhao Xinli took the storage ring from Fuhu Arhat, sensed the ring, and confirmed the quantity. Quantity is no problem. Zhao Xinli said immediately, and as Zhao Xinli finished speaking, the staff of Shenbeo Tang directly brought up a cage and a box on one side. Inside the cage was the purple-winged leopard cub, and when the box was opened, the immortal bone was inside. This purple-winged leopard cub and this immortal bone are yours, master. Zhao Xinli immediately said to Fuhu Luhan. Fuhu Luhan looked at these 2 things, and his expression could not help but show a wave of fluctuations that were difficult to conceal. Without hesitation, he directly collected the purple-winged leopard cub and the immortal bone in front of him. I'm leaving now. After doing all this, Fuhu Luhan said, ready to leave directly. Okay, master, please be careful. A man is innocent but guilty of possessing a treasure. But at this time, Zhao Xinli's voice came again, reminding Fuhu Luhan. I know. Hearing this, Fuhu Luhan said again in a deep voice, and then left without saying a word. He naturally knew the principle that a man is innocent but guilty of possessing a treasure. Everyone knew that he had obtained the immortal bone, and he was afraid that someone had already had some ideas about him. In the world of cultivation, killing people to rob treasures is a very normal thing, so it is understandable that someone wants to rob his treasure. Fuhu Luhan had expected it in his heart, and he was also a master. He didn't take ordinary people seriously at all. Even if they had some ideas about his treasure and attacked him, they would not threaten him. He had to pay attention to those masters. Therefore, Fu Huluhan was ready to leave Union Mountain City without stopping at all. As long as he was in Union Mountain City, he was still safe for the time being, because this was Shenbeo Hall's territory after all, and fighting was not allowed in this ancient city. Therefore, if there was a crisis, it was better to leave Union Mountain City. Thinking of this, Fu Huluhan had already had a way to get out of it. Fu Huluhan no longer hesitated and left Shenbeo Hall directly. As soon as he left Shenbeo Hall, Fu Huluhan felt that many eyes were on him. In addition to these eyes, there were several spiritual powers sweeping over his body. Obviously, his appearance has attracted the attention of many people. Fu Huluhan's heart was solemn, but his face was calm, as if he didn't know anything at all, and he slowly walked away. However, Fu Huluhan did not leave Union Mountain City directly, but went to an inn in this ancient city and opened a room. Fu Huluhan waved his hand and set up a formation in the room to isolate and detect. What is he doing? Did he open a room because he knew it was dangerous to go out? And those who watched Fu Huluhan walk into the inn to open a room made a series of surprised and suspicious sounds, not knowing what Fu Huluhan was planning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 512. God of War, the Fu Huluhan did not come out, but opened a room inside. At this moment, outside Union Mountain City, Xia Kunlun stood proudly on the mountain peak. Beside Xia Kunlun, a man who looked like Xia Kunlun's subordinate spoke directly to Xia Kunlun. Yeah. Xia Kunlun nodded lightly, and his spiritual sense swept directly. Everything around Union Mountain City could not escape Xia Kunlun's perception. Let's see how long he can hide inside. Xia Kunlun said in a deep voice again. You continue to guard, and report immediately when there is news. Yes. The man responded, and then went directly into Union Mountain City again, went to the inn where the Fu Huluhan was, and continued to squat outside. At this moment, outside this inn, some figures were paying attention to this side. After the Fu Huluhan went in, he sealed the entire room. The people outside had no idea what was going on inside, but they were all guarding here. Not far away, in a restaurant, Li Hao, Tang Wanchen and others were sitting at a table, eating wine and food. When will the good show start? I don't know what this guy is doing in there. How long do we have to wait? Tang Qianqian looked at the inn opposite and couldn't help but say, unable to control her temper, while Yuan Zi next to her was much quieter. Haha, if you want to see a good show, you still have to be patient. Without waiting for Li Hao to speak, Mo Tianxing next to him said again. It shouldn't take long. At this time, Li Hao said in a deep voice again, that Fu Huluhan must know the current situation, and even more so that Xia Kunlun will definitely attack him, and he should be preparing something in the inn at this moment. Li Hao is very sure that this guy must have some other means. The strong men who can get to the master level are all extraordinary people, and they should have thought of everything. Now, just wait. As for Xia Kunlun, Li Hao was not going to attack him now. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada while the oriole is behind. When the snipe and the clam fight, the fisherman gets the advantage. It is not too late to attack after the other party makes a move. As for the golden fragment, it is better to put it in Xia Kunlun's hand for the time being. Anyway, he can't unlock the seal. As time passed, the sky gradually darkened. The lights in the ancient city also lit up. In the inn, in a room. In front of Fu Huluhan, there was another figure wearing a black robe. The figure's body shape and figure were exactly the same as Fu Huluhan, and even the appearance was the same. But the only difference was that the body in front of him was a little unsolid and looked a little illusory, as if it would dissipate at any time. At this moment, the crazy output of Fu Huluhan's cultivation spiritual power entered the body in front of him, making this body more solid. Huh. A moment later, a lifelike Fu Huluhan appeared in front of Fu Huluhan's original body. After doing all this, Fu Huluhan breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had consumed a lot of energy. In front of him, this is a clone, which is a clone condensed by his soul power using secret techniques. This is also the way that Fu Huluhan thought of to escape at this moment. The next moment, Fu Huluhan actually condensed a drop of blood essence, and then dripped it directly on the soul clone in front of him. In an instant, the drop of blood essence directly merged into the body of the clone. Immediately, a strong momentum was born on this clone. The momentum continued to rise, and soon it went from foundation building to den formation, and then reached a level comparable to the transformation of the spirit. However, it was faintly weaker than the general early stage of the transformation of the spirit. At the same time, a breath would also emanate from the clone, and the breath was exactly the same as that of the Fu Huluhan's original body. At this moment, the soul clone in front of him seemed to come alive and became agile. Almost done. Fu Huluhan looked at the clone in front of him and murmured again. Success or failure depends on this move. No one should be able to see it. Fu Huluhan also has a strong confidence in this clone. He consciously made it perfect. This clone is exactly the same as himself in appearance and breath. It is difficult to distinguish. As long as this clone goes out and attracts a lot of attention, he can take this opportunity to leave. Immediately, Fu Huluhan restrained his original breath, opened the wardrobe in the inn, and stood directly in it. A moment later, under the night, a figure in a black robe slowly walked out of the inn. Wearing a black robe, it is difficult to see his appearance. He's out. It's the subduing tiger Arhat. He's finally out. Is he finally unable to hold back? The show is about to begin. He's even wearing a black robe. He doesn't want to be recognized, right? He's really trying to hide himself. However, when the black-robed figure came out, exclamations rang out from the monks. Although this subduing tiger Arhat was wearing a black robe, everyone recognized his identity at the first moment. It was undoubtedly the subduing tiger Arhat. Immediately, some figures flew directly to the distance. They were all those guys who were squatting here to investigate, and they all went to report to their masters. Almost at the same time, a series of spiritual power descended on the black-robed figure, but they did not see anything unusual. Finally came out. Tang Wanchen said in a deep voice on the opposite restaurant. Li Hao and his companions' eyes also fell on this subduing tiger Arhat at this moment. Li Hao's powerful spiritual power directly investigated and took in the subduing tiger Arhat in front of him. The breath and appearance are undoubtedly subduing tiger Arhat. However, Li Hao's brows slightly frowned at this moment, and he made a surprised sound. How come this guy's cultivation seems to be a little weaker than before? What's wrong? Mo Tianxing heard Li Hao's surprised voice and asked Li Hao immediately. Nothing. Li Hao shook his head again, feeling that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Then, Li Hao and his companions saw that the subduing tiger Arhat was not in a hurry and walked towards the exit of Union Mountain City under the attention of everyone. Is this guy going to walk out so swaggeringly? Xia Kunlun and the others must be waiting for him. Is he not afraid at all? At this moment, Tang Wanchen saw the scene and said in a concentrated voice, with a hint of confusion in his eyes. This guy must have some trump card. Let's go and see. Tang Wanchen said directly. After the voice fell, Tang Wanchen stood up from his seat, moved his body, and went straight to the front. Finally, there is a good show to watch. When Tang Qianqian saw this scene, she couldn't help but feel excited, and then she moved her body and followed. Beside her, Yuan Zi followed closely. Little brother, everyone is out, let's go. What are you waiting for? If you wait any longer, you will miss the good show. Besides, isn't the thing you want still in Xia Kunlun's hands? On the side, Mo Tianxing saw that Li Hao was motionless, and immediately said to Li Hao, "Well, you go first, I'll be there soon." Li Hao nodded and said directly, "Okay." Then, Mo Tianxing didn't say anything more and followed directly. At this moment, the undercurrent surged. One after another, the crowd surged, and everyone's eyes fell on the subduing tiger Arhat. Many people didn't notice that at this moment, a figure wearing a grey robe and long black hair on his head, with an ordinary appearance and a breath of a foundation building cultivator, walked out of the inn and directly entered the crowd. Everything was so natural, without anyone noticing. Fu Huluohan thought that his soul clone, coupled with this disguise technique, absolutely no one could recognize him, so he immediately mixed in the crowd and walked out. However, at this moment, Fu Huluohan inadvertently saw a gaze looking at him from the opposite restaurant, and his heart condensed. Li Hao was about to leave and headed towards the entrance of Union Mountain City. At this moment, he inadvertently saw a salesman in a grey robe walking out of the inn. Li Hao inadvertently glanced at him, and coincidentally, the figure also looked at him. Although the other party quickly shifted his gaze to another direction, at this moment, Li Hao actually felt that the other party's glance made him feel a little familiar. "Where have you seen it?" Li Hao's heart condensed slightly. The next moment, Li Hao was shocked again, and a gleam of brilliance flashed in his head. What a deception! He was almost fooled. Li Hao's heart was still, and he understood it immediately. But at this moment, Li Hao did nothing, whether it was true or not would be clear soon. Li Hao moved, and followed the crowd directly to the exit of Union Mountain City, but Li Hao's spiritual power kept exploring and fell on the grey-robed figure. So, in full view of the crowd, the subduing tiger Arhat came to the exit of Union Mountain City. And at this moment, outside the exit of Union Mountain City, there was already a very powerful aura. Then, the subduing tiger Arhat walked out directly in the eyes of the crowd. "No need to hide, come out." The next moment, the subduing tiger Arhat actually spoke directly, and the voice rolled out, as if everything was within his expectations. Boom! As the voice of the subduing tiger Arhat came out, powerful auras suddenly emerged between the mountains in front. There were more than 20 figures, all of whom were powerful people in the Jindan realm. These figures were still wearing armor, as if they had just come down from the battlefield. The leader was the Kunlun god of war Xia Kunlun. "Xia Kunlun, you are waiting here as expected." Looking at this Xia Kunlun, the subduing tiger Arhat said coldly, "Since I know, I won't waste words. Hand over the immortal bone, you are no match for me." When Xia Kunlun heard the words of Arhat crouching tiger, Xia Kunlun didn't hide it at all and just said sternly, "Boom." At the same time, an unparalleled super momentum burst out from Xia Kunlun's body in an instant, shaking the world. At this moment, Xia Kunlun unreservedly released his powerful cultivation aura in the late stage of the god transformation realm, and he was ready to take action. "It is true that I am not your opponent. But if you want to keep me here, it will be difficult, right?" Arhat crouching tiger sneered again and said, and immediately, he looked in another direction. And in another direction, there are still several figures standing proudly. Among them, a young man with an evil appearance is standing next to a middle-aged man. This young man is clearly Chu Ming, the body of the Nether sect, and in Chu next to Ming, the middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back, but there was a clear aura on his body. "It's actually Lord Netherworld of Netherworld section. Are you also here for this immortal bone?" Fu Huluhan looked at the middle-aged man and directly called out his name. This middle-aged man was obviously the Nether Lord of the Netherworld section. He was also a strong master, but he had not been there for a long time. "Showed up? What? Lord Netherworld of Netherworld sect?" he is the Netherworld Lord of the Netherworld sect. Even Lord Netherworld is here. As the voice of the Arhat crouching tiger came out, the monks around him all let out cries of exclamation. Haha, I'm just here to watch the show. Don't pay attention to me. When the Netherlord heard the words of Arhat crouching tiger, he said lightly again, as if the matter had nothing to do with him. After saying this, the Netherlord looked at Xiaokunlun again and said in a deep voice. As you wish. Xiaokunlun's expression was slightly condensed, but he didn't say anything. He still looked at the crouching tiger Arhat. I ask you again, hand it over or not? Xiaokunlun's voice was filled with a hint of coldness. Haha. If you want to take action, then go ahead. I want to see if you can keep me. But after hearing Xiaokunlun's words, the crouching tiger Arhat sneered again and said proudly, as if he didn't take Xiaokunlun seriously. Boom. The powerful aura was also released instantly from the body of this crouching tiger Arhat, who also had the cultivation of a god, but it was much worse than that of Xiaokunlun. Bring it on. The words fell, just when everyone thought that this crouching tiger Arhat was going to fight with that Xiaokunlun. The next moment, the body of the crouching tiger Arhat went in another direction at an extremely fast speed, as if he was about to escape. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 513. Everyone only saw that the subduing tiger Arhat did not rush towards the direction where Xiaokunlun was at this moment, but went in another direction. The speed was extremely fast, as if he was escaping. At this moment, everyone was stunned for a moment. What is going on? Why is it different from what we thought? Did the subduing tiger Arhat get the direction wrong? It was completely different from what everyone expected. Everyone was a little confused looking at this scene. Little friend, do you have a lot of questions? What is going on? Is he running away? Where is the promised battle? Hiss. A series of uproarious voices suddenly rang out in this space. Xiaokunlun was also stunned when he saw this situation, but he quickly reacted. Run. Xiaokunlun frowned and made a surprised voice. Can you run away? Xiaokunlun looked at the figure of the subduing tiger Arhat that was instantly far away, and said coldly again. Boom. As Xiaokunlun finished speaking, a powerful aura suddenly burst out from Xiaokunlun's body, and a strong spiritual power of cultivation instantly rose and circulated around his body, directly wrapping Xiaokunlun's body. Then, Xiaokunlun's figure instantly broke through the air and flew forward, and his speed was extremely fast, chasing in the direction where the subduing tiger Arhat went. In one step, he crossed hundreds of meters of space and actually shortened the distance between him and the subduing tiger Arhat. Interesting, it's really interesting that the subduing tiger Arhat actually ran away. Let's go, let's follow him. It's very rare to see the battle between the masters. Don't miss it. Immediately, exclamations came out from the mouths of these cultivators. Then, they saw that powerful cultivation power suddenly burst out from their bodies. These cultivators released their cultivation without reservation, and their figures moved directly, chasing in the direction where the subduing tiger Arhat and Xiaokunlun went, wanting to watch the show. At this moment, it was the Netherworld Venerable of the Netherworld section seeing this scene, his brows slightly frowned. The escape of the subduing tiger Arhat was beyond the expectations of the Netherworld Venerable. The other party was only a master in the early stage of the spiritualization realm, which was a far cry from Xiaokunlun. Even if he escaped, he would definitely not be able to escape. In the eyes of the Netherworld Venerable, the immortal bone might fall into the hands of Xiaokunlun. However, there is still him. Immediately, a sharp light burst out from the eyes of the Netherworld Venerable, and then his figure moved and went in that direction. Li Hao saw that Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxin were also doing the same at this moment. Hmm. But at this moment, Li Hao suddenly made a sound of surprise. Because Li Hao noticed that in a corner of the crowd, there was a seemingly inconspicuous figure, who was actually going in the opposite direction at this moment, as if he was not interested in the battle for the treasure between Xia Kunlun and the subduing tiger Arhat. Everyone went to watch the fun, but this guy was not interested at all. And Li Hao noticed that this guy was the one who just walked out of the inn, and Li Hao even looked at him. There must be something wrong when things are abnormal. Li Hao's heart immediately condensed, and his brows slightly wrinkled. This person came out in the corner of the crowd, and then shuttled to the side, and now he left directly, as if he didn't want to stay here for a moment. No. Looking at this thin figure going away, Li Hao's heart was shocked again, and a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed in his mind. Li Hao immediately said in his heart, "What a Fuhu Luhan! Almost fooled me. What a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain." A sharp light flashed in Li Hao's eyes, and he said in a concentrated voice, and Li Hao suddenly understood in his mind. This figure is the real Fuhu Luhan. No wonder when I used my spiritual sense to detect the subduing tiger Arhat before, the guy's aura was a little weaker, and it seemed that he was even a little short of the initial stage of the spiritual transformation realm. It turned out to be a fake. Li Hao is now more and more certain that the figure in front of him is the real body of the subduing tiger Arhat. Although Li Hao doesn't know how this subduing tiger Arhat did it, he doesn't need to think so much at this moment. Immediately, Li Hao's heart moved, and his figure directly broke through the air and followed the thin figure. On the other side, the subduing tiger Arhat is still breaking through the air and fleeing quickly. The later this side discovers, the safer his real body will be on the other side, and the farther he can run. But, at this moment, boom! A spiritual power attack fell from the sky at this moment. Although the subduing tiger Arhat also used his cultivation power to resist. Bang! However, as the powerful force descended upon him, his forward movement was immediately blocked, and he even retreated a little. Run! Can you run away? I'll say it one last time, hand over the immortal bone and the purple-winged leopard cub. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. A towering figure stood proudly in front of the subduing tiger Arhat. It was Xia Kunlun's figure. Xia Kunlun spoke sternly to the subduing tiger Arhat. At the same time, there were figures appearing around one after another. It was the subordinates who rushed over and directly surrounded them from other directions. These people were all pill-forming monks, and their powerful cultivation base was released. If they didn't let this Fuhu Arhat's chance to escape. Haha. Talking is useless. If you want to take action, then do it. Seeing this scene, the Arhat crouching tiger showed no fear at all, as if he wasn't worried about himself at all. He even sneered and said to Xia Kunlun, "Court death." When Xia Kunlun heard the words of Arhat crouching tiger, he immediately said sharply, with murderous intent bursting out of his eyes. Boom! The unparalleled cultivation aura rose up into the sky, and the violent power rose up in Xia Kunlun's body. At this moment, there was a clear spiritual light flowing in Xia Kunlun's body, and Xia Kunlun's whole body seemed to be covered with armor on the ship. Spiritual power transformed into armor. This is spiritual armor. It is a wonderful use of spiritual power. It turns the spiritual power into armor of the body's voice, forming a huge protection, which makes the power rise and explode to the extreme. At this moment, Xia Kunlun seemed to have turned into a god of war. Suddenly, Xia Kunlun's figure moved, and suddenly blasted directly towards the position of the crouching tiger Arhat figure in front. Boom! Xia Kunlun directly punched out. The punch contained extremely terrifying power. Wherever the punch passed, the space was torn apart and a harsh sound was made. Seeing this scene, the Fuhu Arhat looked solemn. Buzz buzz. There were Sanskrit sounds sounding on the body of the Arhat who crouched the tiger, as if there were runes circulating, which made his whole person a little more solemn. The Buddha's light shone in his body, and the whole person of Arhat the crouching tiger directly transformed. Become a real Arhat. The next moment, the Arhat crouching tiger actually punched out directly, with a powerful punch. The fight started. What a powerful force! Is this the powerful master? Kunlun god of war is indeed the god of war of Kunlun. This momentum is really amazing. Not far away, the monks also arrived here one after another. Looking at the scene in front of them, they exclaimed in great surprise. Tang Wanchen, Mo Tianxing, and others all came here. Huh? Why hasn't that guy Li Hao come yet? At this time, Tang Wanchen saw that Li Hao hadn't come yet, and immediately said in confusion. Isn't it? If you don't come, you will miss the show. Next to him, Mo Tianxing also said in surprise. Isn't he interested in the golden fragment? Doesn't he still want to take action against Xia Kunlun? It will be our turn to take action soon. Tang Wanchen said again immediately. During the previous auction, Li Hao had an idea about the golden fragment and asked them to do it together. Now if Xia Kunlun solves the crouching tiger Arhat in front of him, it will be their turn to do it, but at this critical moment, where did that guy Li Hao go? For a moment, Tang Wanchen and Mo Tianxing were speechless. Wait a minute, do we want to take action? Old Tang, you are facing the immortal bones, do you have any ideas? Mo Tianxing asked Tang Wanchen again. Of course I have ideas, but this Xia Kunlun is not easy to deal with. Tang Wanchen said calmly again. It's not easy to deal with, but I have to give it a try. However, I always feel that something is not right about this crouching tiger Arhat in front of me. Mo Tianxing said in a deep voice again, and his consciousness fell on the Fuhu Arhat in front of him. As the master of the sword sect, Mo Tianxing is also a master of weapon refining, and his soul power is also very powerful, at this moment. I felt something strange from the body of the Arhat crouching tiger in front of me. But for a moment, Mo Tianxing couldn't tell. What was wrong was just the feeling. Ahead. As Xia Kunlun's powerful punch came directly, the Fuhu Arhat also punched directly towards him. Rumble. The two fists faced each other, and when there was an earth-shattering sound, the powerful collision force shook the entire space. Bang. The next moment, everyone was shocked to see that under Xia Kunlun's powerful punch, the body of the flying tiger Arhat was directly blown away, flying back several feet. Xia Kunlun looked coldly at the crouching tiger Arhat in front of him who was blown away by him. At this moment, his brows were slightly wrinkled, and there was no joy in his heart. The other party, is this too weak? So weak that he doesn't even look like a master. Although Xia Kunlun had absolute confidence in his own strength, at this moment, he still felt that the crouching tiger Arhat in front of him was unexpectedly much weaker than he had imagined. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Wow. That crouching tiger Arhat was defeated. Not a single punch followed. Crushing. This is completely crushing. Kunlun god of war is indeed the god of war. This is too powerful. At this moment, when the monks around him saw the scene in front of them, they immediately let out a cry of exclamation, feeling that Xia Kunlun was too powerful. It shouldn't be. At the same time, Tang Wanchen, who was not far away, saw the scene and murmured, finally realizing that something was wrong. Indeed, the cultivation of this Fuhu Luohan can't be so weak, right? It's a little bit weak. Beside him, Mo Tianxing also echoed casually. Not like. Could it be? Beside him, Tang Wanchen heard Mo Tianxing's casual words, his heart was shocked, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, and he immediately thought of something, and couldn't help but look at Mo Tianxing again. Doppelganger. This is a soul avatar. When Mo Tianxing heard Tang Wanchen's reminder, his whole body was shocked, his eyes widened, and he said in horror. At this moment, the two of them thought of the same thing. The Fuhulugohan in front of them is a soul avatar. And if it is a soul avatar, then where is the original body? Luring the tiger away from the mountain. This is a plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. The two of them looked at the Fuhulugohan in front of them again. It was seen that after the subduing tiger Arhat was repelled by Xiaokunlun's punch, his aura became much weaker, but he did not vomit blood, and there seemed to be a strange soul power overflowing around his body. Kunlun, god of war. That's all. Haha. The subduing tiger Arhat looked at Xiaokunlun coldly again, and laughed loudly at this point, and said to Xiaokunlun harshly, as if he still didn't take Xiaokunlun seriously. At this moment, when the cultivators heard the words of the subduing tiger Arhat, they couldn't help but have a strange look on their faces again. It has come to this point. Where did he get the courage to say this? Where did he get the qualifications? However, soon, something unexpected happened to everyone. It was seen that as the voice of the subduing tiger Arhat fell, a strange and powerful force broke out from the subduing tiger Arhat. Boom! The figure of the subduing tiger Arhat rushed directly towards the direction of Xiaokunlun. In front of him, in the eyes of everyone, he was actually going to take the initiative to attack. In the blink of an eye, the figure of the subduing tiger Arhat had already arrived not far from Xiaokunlun. Seeing this scene, Xiaokunlun couldn't help but frown again, and a bad feeling suddenly emerged. At this moment, a feeling that made the souls of all the people in the audience throb broke out from the body of the subduing tiger Arhat at this moment, and a terrifying soul momentum seemed to be uncontrolled and released from the body of the subduing tiger Arhat. All people, at this moment, actually felt a strong crisis, and a bad idea just came up. All people were shocked to see that the body of the subduing tiger Arhat actually exploded at this moment. A terrifying energy burst out instantly. Bang!